that didn't happen, none of the stuff would have trickled down. So if it weren't for people, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. Especially in my city, nationwide, or even worldwide, we can, we will, together we are Team Shorty. How hard they train in the gym is because they're trying to make it out. It's the opportunity. I've had camps where I'm crying. I've had camps where I wanted to quit. 2 paper no break into UFC veteran. At the time I was 3-0. He's never been finished, and I knocked him out in 8 seconds. I guess this word kind of gets deep. It's like I fought my father. My father's gone. Why do I fight? Damn, I gotta find that answer. I'm showing people that I'm giving back. So those people who see it can go, damn, he's giving back. Maybe I should give back a little bit too.
Warm. Welcome everybody to another episode of the Ralphie and Ryan Show. I'm your host, Rafael Velasco, aka Rafael the Realtor, sitting in with my co-host, the internet sensation, Mr. Ryan Reynolds, and our very special guest. Really shouldn't have or need an introduction. The man is a champ at was with Titan FC, now is at Brave FC. He is a flyweight, also is a bantam contender, the people's champ, the pride of Chicago, the fighting pride of Chicago, Jose Shorty Torres. Welcome to the podcast, bro. Thanks for spending a couple hours with us.
Yeah, no problem, man. And accolade-wise, let me just reiterate some of them. At least MMA-wise, 2-time national champ, first ever 2-time world champ, Titan FC, first ever simultaneous champion at 5-0, defended both of them 3 times, UFC veteran, Brave CF, or Brave Combat Federation contender, was fighting for the belt, sadly declined to fight, but inevitably and hopefully another title shot comes to play.
Dude, you have a very extensive amateur record. You have had a bunch of fights, continue to fight, and there's a bright future. I think a lot of big players. I know DJ talked very highly about you. And again, you're the fighting pride of Chicago, man. We're super proud to have somebody like you from the neighborhood. Also being a Latino. Just killing it, bro, and you get the right mindset. You ooze positivity, man. It's super inspirational to us, and I know a lot of people in the neighborhood.
I appreciate it, man. It's it's been a struggle, but I always tell people I have the typical Latino upbringing. We all have a struggle with gangs, violence, drugs, whatever the case may be. But if this shorty can do it, why can't you?
There you go, man. So you're after all your videos and all your posts, you say,
we can, we will, together we are Team Shorty.
Where does that come from? Where'd you come up with that, and what does that really mean to you?
To me, I look at it as, there's positivity and negativity in my life, whether it's certain people in my life, certain situations, but it's a fact of no matter who you are, no matter if it was good or bad, you've played a significant role in my life, and I'm at where I'm at today because of it. So that's why I always do say, without people, I wouldn't be where I'm at. Especially as a fighter, I'm an entertainer. If I'm not entertaining, no one's going to watch me, no one's going to support me.
Right.
One of my fights, actually, it was the first ever national championships, and I'm in college, and I had a full ride, so I don't have to work. I'm making no money, and I'm hanging out there, and I had, I think, a 2-week notice to fight at the national championships. It was very last minute. I had no money, and I had to pay, I believe it was $500 total for the flight there, and just the hotel and the tournament fee. I'm in college, I have no money. My coach goes, hey, just go on Facebook, make a GoFundMe, and ask for $1. For if you have 2,000 friends, ask for $1 and see, if everyone just gives you $1. That's all you're asking for. Little I know, in 2 hours, I've received $2,000 of support.
Hell yeah!
And wow. I'm not a person to ask for money. If I want money, I'm definitely going to work for it or have some type of a partnership in some sort of way. And I don't know, in like 2 hours, I get $2,000, and I'm
awesome.
Like, all right, cool, it's done. Like we reached the goal. Thanks, guys, and. I immediately saved that for the next adventure, which I ended up winning nationals, and I went to Worlds, used that money again, and just reused it. And I showed that a lot of people were supporting me. That was the first time I kind of realized that, man, a lot of people, or a lot more people, supported me than I ever really expected. So if it weren't for them helping me in that certain situation, I wouldn't have accomplished all those things. That was kind of the domino effect, that first ball to hit the domino to make all the dominoes, fall apart. So it's one of those things that if that didn't happen, none of the stuff would have trickled down. So if it weren't for people, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. especially in my city, nationwide or even worldwide, we can, we will together. We are Team Shorty. It's one of those things that I do believe if you're alone, you're going to be depressed. You're going to be, struggling. You're going to be, again, just alone. Everyone needs a helping hand. I don't care how prideful you are with certain situations. I definitely get it. But if you need help, there's not a problem to ask for it.
Right. Yeah. And also like to mention that now you're giving back, right? You're sponsoring, you're helping other athletes in need around you. So not only did you get help, but now you're giving back.
Well, I mean, I've always been giving back. It just, this is now I'm financially stable to give back with money. Most of the time it's been my time, my teaching, stuff like that, whether I'm going to my old gym helping if I can, or how I remember, just taking care of kids that were even just 1 year younger than me. Hey, I'll take you with me. I have a little money. Let's go get hot dogs, or let's go get this, go to Manor Pool. Let's do, certain things. Or even my freshman year, right after football, I would coach the Little Mustangs, which was the youth football program for my high school. So right after I take off my pads and put on the pads of the kids, I just coach them for 2 hours and then go home, do my homework, and repeat. Or even when I graduated, I went to Triton College for wrestling. Right after wrestling practice, I drive to Morton East, which was my my high school. I would coach the Little Mustangs program for wrestling, and then little I know, the coach had a few kids that were either adopted or orphans and stuff like that, and I would just hang out with them. And then the parents would pay me to take care of them, but all that money I would use, besides gas, all that money I would use to just take them out to like Haunted Trails, Chuck E. Cheese, or just going out. So I never made any money out of it. So it was just one of those things where I was like, man, I never got a lot of these things as a kid. Let me give you more of the opportunity. I know you don't have the parents, your original parents, or whatever the case may be. Let me give you somewhat of a better life, because I obviously don't understand that part. But I understand, probably some type of neglect, beatings, or whatever the case may be. So, it's just, I've always been giving back, but now I'm financially stable enough to be, hey, I'm able to give money back. One of my favorite fighters, Manny Pacquiao, he has his own foundation, Manny Pacquiao Foundation, where right now he just built I think it was a few hundred houses, made of a certain material where homeless people can now officially stay. That guy grew up with literally nothing. I mean, we're hood, but they're a third world country, so that's a whole different type of struggle. If we want some help, we can go to a homeless shelter, we can do that stuff. They don't have that there, so
right.
Now he's giving back and doing the opportunity. For me, I want to be able to do the same, and I might not be anywhere near as rich as he is, but it's a fact of, if I can, I will. If I can't, I can't. Money-wise, I know definitely a lot of people need, and I've been sponsoring athletes, I've been paying for membership fees, I've been sponsoring people for fights and stuff like that, just trying to get you on the come up and teach them as well how to market themselves. If I'm sponsoring fighters, hey, learn how to market my logo, because it's going to teach you how to get other sponsors. When one sponsor sees you have a sponsor, they go, okay, cool, he knows how to work the system a little bit. Yeah. So you're more likely to get sponsored that way. So I'm trying to help you get more money. Yeah, I might be losing money, but I'm not looking to gain anything. My foundation, Team Shorty Foundation, all my gear, which is on TeamShorty.com, everything, all the proceeds get donated back to my foundation, which help keep kids, teens, and young adults inside the gym and off the streets. So
that's awesome, man.
It's a whole different thing. If I'm able to give back, I can. If I can, I can.
Yeah. So one of the things that I really wanted to get out of this interview, I have a chance to interview a champion, and I wanted to see really what it takes and what the mindset is of a champion. And I was interested to see if you'd be able to go back and tell us a little bit about your childhood, what your relationship is with your parents, your mom, your mom and your dad, and how you kind of developed into a mixed martial artist.
It's funny because I never wanted to be a fighter. It was just one of those things that happened. My dad was in the gang. He was a goon. That's why some of the stuff material here is purple and black. My father was a Harrison John, so the colors are purple and black. And he grew up. That was his family. He didn't have a father. His mother took him away from his father in Puerto Rico when he was 9 and just lived in Chicago for the rest of his life. And my grandmother wasn't the best person, so she had a bunch of role models father figures, drugs, all that stuff. So my dad got beat up a lot. So he inevitably joined the gang, and that was just his upbringing to be tough and learn. He was an enforcer, pretty much like Rocky on the shirt. In the first movie, he was an enforcer, collecting the money, doing what the boss wanted him to do. My mom was super smart, but never had any opportunity for certain things. So she would try to do things for my brother, which he's 8 years older. But the problem was my brother was really primarily raised by my father. So he definitely didn't have the best upbringing. Got beat a lot, was traumatized for a lot of things, and so he naturally neglected. So when they told him to do something positive, he's like, "No, I'm going to do what I want now." Like forget what you say because what you've been saying has been hurting me in a sense and physically too. So it's like my dad was like, I want you to be a fighter. And either he would beat us or would play fight with us, just depending on the day. My dad back in the day when I was born, he was a weak cocaine and steroid baby, so he was always naturally mad, and his temper slowly, went down as he got older. But and my brother being 8 years older, I got to protect myself against him. Because even when he was mad, he would take it on me every once in a great while too. So I would always play fight with them, and some of the stuff I would watch is like Jackie Chan, Power Rangers, Rocky, Dragon Ball Z, shows like that, where the role model would literally physically fight for good. So I would always play fight with them and always be having that energy to do more. My mom signed me up to karate at the age of 4, Shotokan karate. Eventually got my black belt. I think I was 14 or 16. The first black belt in Chicago, which was awesome because, McKinley Park neighborhood, primarily Latinos, would just do it for so long. And they're like, all right, cool, we're doing our own thing, being teenagers now. And for me, I just stayed committed to it. My mom never let me quit. And my mom took me to everything until I got to high school, and then joined football, wrestling, baseball, the sports, was able to make it to all of them. Competed, and then I ended up joining Combat Do, where I'm still at today, when I was 16. And honestly, that was kind of like the pinnacle of everything. I wanted to expand my my martial arts status of not just doing karate, but learning how to fight. WEC was getting big, UFC was big, and I decided to join Combat Do. That gym actually started before the UFC started, so it had some notoriety, which is awesome. And the coach there, which is a father figure of mine, Master Bob, he has taught me a lot. The fun fact was the reason why I started going to that gym was my dad, again, was still decently abusive to my brother and I. So my brother ended up having his first, which is crazy to say, his first near fatal injury. So he was, in a sense, handicapped to fighting. So he's like, hey, I gotta have you beat up Dad when the time comes, type of thing. And so he paid for me to go to Combat Do for a year. I ended up learning how to fight, but I also learned a lot of morals and responsibility when I, joined a martial arts a little more serious. And having a Marines recon coach you every single day, it's different. You learn a lot of morals. And so by the time the whole thing ended, and it was in a sense time to be my dad's ass, it was just kind of like, your job as a parent, which I don't believe I have any kids, but your job as a parent is to, I believe, to give your kids a better life than what you had. Whether it's 1% better or 100% better, it's to give them a better life. Technically, looking back at my dad's life, even though my life was shit, at least from what I've experienced, compared to he experienced, his life was way, way worse. I'm like, whether it was 1%, 50, or 100, technically job well done, so I understood it that way. And then my father and I, started to grow a relationship because of martial arts. I ended up being the party animal of the year when I graduated high school, and no school wanted to accept me because my GPA was a 2.0. And so I'm like, all right, well, I don't want to work at the pizzeria that I worked at for 80 hours a week that summer, which is crazy, or I don't want to join the military, because I'm just scared of war. At the time, 2010, it was still picking up with all the stuff in Afghanistan and Iraq. So I'm like, man, I don't want to do that. Let me try college, but I won't go to NIU. I won't go to U of I, the big state schools that everyone goes to. Let me go to a junior college and see where it goes from there. I went to a junior college. The very first test I took, I failed. I'm like, shit. All right, I gotta really, I really gotta take it serious and study. So I decided to finally read, take every advantage I could when it came to getting free books and whatever the case may be. And after that, my first semester, I finished with a 3.0, which is all B's. That was my first ever 3.0 in my life. So I'm like, okay, cool, I guess I can do this.
You can do it.
Yeah, and I was wrestling at Trine College as well. And the next semester, I ended up getting a 3.3. And then the end of the year, I ended up being the MVP of college wrestling for Trine College. I was like, oh, man,
that's awesome.
Cool. I'm doing a good job so far. The next semester, my third semester, I ended up getting like a 3.6. And then the final semester, 3.8. And then I ended up being Trine College Male Athlete of the Year, MVP again. And then I ended up being an All-American, which is placed in the nation. So I was, in a sense, invited to National Honor Society, which is ironic because when I was in high school, I'm the party animal, I'm making fun of nerds and the jock and just being a douche. And I'm like, oh man, you guys suck. You're doing all these honors classes, the AP classes, and it's a waste of time to me because we're all going to go to the same place, college. We're all going to make it. And Little I know, because I was in Phi Theta Kappa, I had almost every school I wanted to go to that had wrestling for free. So I ended up picking that school down McKendree University down in Lebanon, Illinois, which is by St. Louis. And I got to go to school for free from being the original party animal.
That's
2
awesome.
years later, $45,000 a year was paid for.
That's awesome. What turned it around for you? You just started taking. Did you just get out of that stage where you were just partying and you started taking school serious?
Well, my dad was a handyman, so he built everything in the house. He was extremely artistic. He couldn't read. My brother, he can read, but it's very, very slow. He has to tell me, or he uses the microphone on his phone to spell some of the words out. So it's one of those things that I didn't want to end up like this, And my mom was always very, very educated. Eventually she went to college, eventually graduated, and so did I. I ended up being the first person in my family to graduate. I ended up graduating with a degree of pretty much kinesiology, but it's sports. The name that we had is sports and exercise science with a side of leadership. So it's it's up there, but it was one of those things that I don't want to end up like some of my family members.
Yeah.
So I'm like, man, I'm looking at them. Let me go the other way. And my brother was always kind of like, I did this.
Yeah.
You should do this. I'm like, all right, cool. I'll go left because you went right and it didn't work. So I kept on doing what I needed to do. And, I ended up graduating. My grades never went anything below a 3.0 in college, which was amazing. My final semester was 3.8. And I was really upset because I never had my first 4.0. So close. Damn close. But finished that, graduated, and that's when I ended up, really starting to really go into MMA when it came to the, professional side, to accomplish all those accolades. Yeah. And eventually when I won the second world championship, I ended up getting sponsored, went pro, signed with Titan, and then, moved up my career extremely fast, fighting some high-level guys. And for me, I noticed because that day I was telling you about what they donated to me, I noticed the more I fought, the more I was accomplishing things. Even though I kind of ditched all my friends who really, I didn't go to Morton. I went to Triton College. I didn't go to NIU, UIC, or U of I. I went to a school completely down south where no one even knows, So
yeah.
I ditched a lot of people to kind of be successful, which is awesome. But, it sucks because you miss your friends, you miss great times, stuff like that. But it was just one of those things that I finally took it serious to accomplish all my goals, and then I turned pro, and I've noticed that every time I fought, people would always leave some really positive comments. Like, hey, man, you're an inspiration, that's awesome. Or people would just randomly message me. It's kind of like saying when you dress up and take a snap, and people are like, dude, you look good today. Like, it makes you feel good.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with that, where they just randomly tell me, like, dude, I saw your snap earlier, and I decided to get up and work out. I'm like, it's awesome. I'm not trying to tell people or even kids to be fighters. I'm just trying to tell people I tried. That's all that matters. I tried and I gave it my all. I had the blinkers on. Sadly, again, I had to do certain things, ditch my friends, whatever. But I accomplished goals.
Right.
So if this Shorty can do it, literally, why can't you? My dad's nickname was Shorty G. My nickname is Little Shorty G, technically. And it's one of those things that we were the Shorty from back in the day, where if you talked about Shorty, it's like, man, that little Shorty's doing this thing. Compared to, Shorties with the big butts these days and all that stuff. So I'm the Shorty from the hood, showing that if I can do it, why can't you?
Did you, from the very early age, did you understand that this was a way out, that you could really make this into something big? At a very early age, did you have a talent that people saw, or did you kind of develop this?
I was more naturally talented when it came to fighting, and just athletically. The only sport that my mom told me I wasn't good at was basketball, which makes a lot of sense. It was funny because we were watching video and she's like, yeah, when I'm filming, I'm thinking in my head like, oh, well, he tries. Thanks.
All that matters.
I appreciate the sport, because she bought me a basketball rim later on, and it was cool. So it's just one of those things. I'm like, oh, that's how you really thought. But no, I never looked at it as I wanted to fight professionally. I wanted to when I finally joined that gym, Combat Dough. Okay. And I was like, let's just see where it goes. And I was just 100% listening to my coach. So by the time I turned pro, I had my pro debut, even though it technically got canceled, the whole card ended up falling apart. I ended up doing almost like 50 interviews in a matter of 2 months. And I was just Mr. Yes Man. And I was the very first fight in the card. And the guy who's a PR rep, Brian Levick, he ended up messaging me. He's like, dude, you're amazing because you did more interviews than the main event, both guys combined, because they say no to everything and you're just saying yes. I'm like, yeah, I thought this was the job. I thought we automatically had to say yes to everything. He goes, no, you could say no. I'm just like, oh, okay, cool. But I just always promoted myself well enough and did all these things that I noticed I had more of a natural talent than others. So when it came to certain things, I go on autopilot when I go into my fights. So I see things in slow motion sometimes, or I just feel even when I watch fights, I'm like, all right, there's something here, there's something there. You know, so when I commentate, I can always look at that in a different way. But it's something I've just always been good at. And because of my whole fighting background with my family, even my brother and I play fight every once in a while now.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things that, you know, it's been kind of instilled in me. I'm kind of like one of those Russian or Chinese kids where they just put on one thing and that's it. That's all they know for the rest of their life. But fighting's a poor man's sport. You know, so I'm not saying we were poor coming up, but we definitely had our fair share of struggles. So it was just my way out of the neighborhood. Even if I didn't have my college degree, which even though I did, that was my backup. My ultimate goal still was fighting. So
yeah,
I ended up giving it 100%, and I'm at where I'm at today because of it.
Yeah, where does this dedication come from? Do you think this is just developed because you've met different personalities, like your coach?
I'm very extrinsically motivated. So if people, again, I'm an entertainer as well. So when people tell me they're motivated or they enjoy what I do, I will do it. That's just kind of the person I am. I'm one of those social media guys where they're like, man, this movie's really good. All right, well, I'm going to go see that movie. That's just how I run. Like, yes, I have my own opinion on things and I make my own choices, but it's one of those things that I'm so extrinsically motivated by people. I only fight for my family. So, like, inevitably when my father passed away, they're like, oh, man, you're fighting for your dad in this one. I'm like, no, I've been fighting for my dad in every fight. And I don't fight for me. The only fight that I did fight for me was that one fight in the UFC where my emotions came out to play, and it showed that I don't care. You know, so it's one of those things that I am good at what I do. Doesn't mean 100% I like it in a sense. It depends on the camps and the days and just life in general. But, you know, it has been my way out in many senses when it comes to getting out of the neighborhood or even mental stuff. You know, it's like, you know, you go work out, that's your hour or 2 hours of freedom from the world, and you come back, you're like a little de-stressed, and it's like, all right, cool, I have the energy to get back to it.
Yeah. So when did you start fighting professionally? Do you remember your first fight?
I was 23, and it was March 3rd or 5th, one of those days in 2016.
So one of the things that I think about, right? Like I get nervous all the time, and I know that I've heard you talk about, you know, the nerves before a fight, but yours is at a whole other level, right? You can be knocked out in front of, you know, thousands of people. Could you walk us through what the emotions are right before a fight? Is it something that you go into auto mode, or is it a process that you go through before a fight?
Everyone's different, you know. So for me, the day of the fight is too late, type of thing, where it's like you can't turn back. So it's like the roller coaster where you see people on the slingshot, and they're like, all right, no, I want to get off. And they're like, you're fine. Okay, pass on the ride.
Yeah.
So that's how I am, where it's like, you know, again, excuse my language, it's like, fuck it, I'm here, let's do it.
Let's get it done.
You know, so it's just one of those things that fight day, I'm perfectly fine. You know, I do have my own like 4-leaf clover thing that kind of like luck, you knock on wood. I knock on my cup, I knock on wood. And so I do that, but that's pretty much about it. I'm like, all right, cool, let's just see how this goes and just have our fun. But leading up to the fight, depends on the weight cut, depends on the emotions behind the scenes, whether I'm with a significant other, whether I'm, you know, at a certain training camp, whether I'm, you know, the money I have to spend for the training camp, who I'm hiring for the camp, if I'm making a certain amount of money, the sponsors. So I usually handle everything myself. So when it comes to the pressure, there's a lot of things I have to do, and then plus plenty of the interviews where I have to, you know, wake up, do what I need to do for diet, do my workout. I have to, you know, go back to eat, do an interview. I have to make sure I'm trying to nap sometime in between the day. Cool, do another interview, make my food, work out again, and then kind of repeat the cycle. You know, making sure my weight is low enough and that I'm energized enough for the next day. So it does become a struggle, something I'm still working on every single day, even though I've had 10 fights as a pro and Malta. When it comes to competing and even weight cutting, I've had hundreds and hundreds of matches of experience for this. It just, you know, it takes time, and every fight is very, very different. But there's fights where I'm completely careless, which was the one I lost. I just didn't care. I wanted to go home. I was in a 34 fight winning streak, and I accepted the loss on Monday, even though I fought Saturday. You know, so it's just one of those things where it's like I just wanted to be 3-1 in the UFC, and that was it. You know, but there's fights where I think it was my first title defense at 35. I was like, cool, I just want to get this fight over and done with and go home. You know, I wanted to win, of course, but I'm just like, let me fight him, go home. That's it. You know, I don't care if I win Anthony Joshua style fight where it's just boring and cool. I just want to fight and go home. And, you know, I won it, but it's one of those things where sometimes your emotions can get you hurt. You know, so it's It depends on the day. I've had fights where I'm not nervous whatsoever. I think I fought a guy. My most skilled opponent record-wise was 18-2, Pedro Nobre. He was a UFC veteran. And at the time, I was 3-0. He's never been finished, and I knocked him out in 86 seconds.
Awesome.
You know, and my coach came up to me, and my nutritionist is like, all right, come on, this is his first camp with me. He's like, all right, nutrition. He comes up to me and goes, hey, come on, you gonna warm up? I'm like, no, I'm good. Like, he's like, he kind of got that aura or vibe from me. He's like, all right, I guess this kid's good, you know, like
he's ready to go.
Yeah, so I was like, yeah, I'm fine. I went in there, knocked him out. It was just so everything in that fight's slow motion.
Yeah.
But there's fights where you see the opposite sense where I lost and everything's slow motion, but it's like your body's not reacting, it's not, you know, taking part in it.
So you kind of almost sense what kind of state you're in right before the fight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
you have to be mentally aware of what you do. I think that's one of the reasons why, in a sense, I get like anxiety attacks or panic attacks now, because sometimes I'm so controlled in my emotions that by the time there's a feeling of, in a sense, claustrophobia in my own mind, it's just like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
In college, were you wrestling in college?
Yeah. So I wrestled all 5 years in college.
Okay, because you were talking about that you were having issues with cutting weight and stuff like that, and I heard that you had more of a problem with cutting weight in college.
Yeah, I got traumatized in college with cutting weight because in high school, they don't teach you anything about nutrition besides being healthy, but every sport is different and you have to eat differently to, you know, give your body the right amount of energy, but for wrestling, lose the right amount of weight, but feel good at the same time. And by the time I got to college, I believe my sophomore year is when I started, in a sense, really hit puberty and I started to thicken out because I definitely didn't get taller. I started to thicken out and I started to put weight on. So out of nowhere, instead of being 135 the year before, like my freshman year, I'm weighing 150 naturally, but I'm still cutting down to 125.
Wow.
And that year was a little easier because my body was still growing. But by the time I, got the full ride and accepted to wrestle at 125 for 3 years, which is, again, a hard weight class because it's hard to find guys at the small weight class and the biggest weight classes. It's easy to find guys in the middle because that's the majority. So for me, it was, and I get it from my coach's perspective of, Shorty, you signed at 25. This is your paperwork. You got to do the job. I'm like, all right, cool. And I did it. My first year, I was redshirt, meaning it's your practice year. So you only have to do so many tournaments, and you're not representing the team. So I did all the tournaments at 25, but it was also my fault of have you guys been on a diet before, like a strict diet for however long?
Not like yours.
But here's the example: is a lot of people, and this is even scientific fact. Most people, when they go on a diet, they lose a crap ton of weight, which is awesome. The only problem is once the diet is over, they gain all their weight back, and sometimes, more than inevitably, they gain more. Why? Because you restrict yourself with so much food. I mean, right now, I got really chubby cheeks compared to me at 125. Why? Because I'm restricting myself from all this food, and now I'm binge eating to make up for it. Like, I finally got chips or this or that.
Yeah.
So, in college, I didn't know how, and by the time I got to wrestle on the team the second year and the third year, every week we're making weight. So on Monday, I would weigh around 150, 145, cut down 5 days to 125.
Whoa,
and
shit.
I'd make it every single week, but the problem is my body was, dying from it.
Yeah.
And me mentally, it was worse because I was, in a sense, self-sabotaging myself where I'm like, cool, I'm going to make it easier. And then, once the weight cuts over, it's like, oh, cool, donuts. And you just start binge eating because it's right in front of you, something you can't have. And depending on how your body's feeling, like, you ever hear diabetics go, man, I crave sugar. Well, it's because sometimes your body needs the sugar. So for me, there's times where I'm like, man, I crave sugar, I crave salt, or I crave this, or I crave that, because I'm, keeping myself away from it for so long. So every week, every Sunday, I'd like binge eat, and then on Monday, I'd be back at 150 instead of maybe 145, maybe 140, kind of slowly adapting. So I sabotage myself a little bit. But even with that, I probably would have weighed 140 on Monday, but still I would have had to cut 15 pounds every single week. And I remember arguing with my coach so many times, and he was, I get where he was coming from, but he allowed so many people to bump up and go different weight classes that I was like, man, this is kind of unfair. Like, I want to bump up. So I never had the opportunity. So by the time Nationals came, or the regional qualifier to qualify for Nationals, it's all Americans from junior college like myself. And I remember beating or wrestling this one kid that I beat early in the year almost by a tech ball, which is slaughter rule. And then I lost him by one at that day. And it was just one of those things where I didn't care because if I would have beat him, I would have had to wrestle the next day, and I wasn't going to make weight.
Oh.
Like I knew I wasn't going to make weight, so I purposely lost. And then the next match it was the wrestle back, and I lost to another guy I beat earlier in the year. And my coach was like, "What the hell?" I was like, "I just want to pump up." The next year, the crazy thing is that kid who the first match I lost to ended up being the national champ. So I'm like, God damn it! Like all I had to do was try, and I could beat him, or possibly would have been the national champ. Maybe, never know. But the next year, I was like, I'm gonna force coach to let me go 33. Like it's an open spot. We got a bunch of freshmen that we recruited, and him and I argued for I think like 5 straight weeks, and eventually he ended up cutting me. So I didn't get to finish my senior year, which really sucks because that's like it's your final year.
Right.
And wrestling's not a sport unless you're an Olympian to do it, in the off season. So I ended up getting cut. Then my scholarship taken away from me because he wanted to kind of just prove a point and pulled my scholarship. So I had to take it to court.
Oh no!
I won the court battle, got my scholarship back, was able to graduate. It was a shit show.
Yeah.
So when it came to cutting weight, I was traumatized. So that's why when I turned professional. The first thing I was looking for was a nutritionist. So I found nutrition, and he looked at me. He knew I was a flyweight, but he goes, "Okay, you want to fight bantamweight? Well, let's fight bantamweight, but listen to me 100%. My first weight cut, I'm freaking ripped, and I'm going into fight week happy as hell. The only thing I'm worried about is the fight, which is a good thing. That's what you want to worry about. My college coach, which was kind of hypocritical, would say if you're too worried about the weight cut or more worried about the weight cut than actually wrestling or competing, you're at the wrong weight class. And it's true because I would make the weight, drink whatever I could to rehydrate, and then I'd have a poor, wrestling match, knowing my body wasn't able to take it, or I didn't even care about wrestling. And I'm just like, I just kind of want to save you guys some points and then, be off of my day. And, it sucks. So by the time I turned pro, fought at 35, didn't even have a weight cut. And then my next fight, I fought at 35 again. I kind of was like, oh man, it was a little easier than I expected, so let me cheat a little bit. Let me get a little confident and eat a little more. Made it hard on myself, but I still made the weight, won the fight. Then the next fight, I fight at 25. So I'm like, man, I have to be really strict. We ended up making 123 by accident because the scales were off, like collaborating-wise, and it was really upsetting because that could really mess up your fight. But I made weight, knocked out the guy, then I was at 25 again. That was a great weight cut as well. That was probably the best weight cut at 25. I'm like, man, I can do it. Then we bumped up 35 from the next 2 fights and 25 again. And then the last 3 have been 25. But it's crazy how my UFC debut, I cut 26 pounds in 9 days.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, what was the most amount of weight you've ever cut?
Yeah, it's 26 pounds in 9 days. And
what is that like? What is that process like?
Pain. Pain and agony. It's a lot of heat and a lot of sweating. The good thing again, I have a very confident and a very good nutritionist. Where nutrition again, I trust him because we worked together for so many years and so many fights. Where I said no to the fight because I laughed at the thought of doing it. And then the UFC gives ultimatums and whatever the UFC wants, they get.
Yeah.
So I had 10 last minute calls from UFC, and all of them were 10 days or less. So I wasn't getting a full camp, or even probably another call. So after the 10th one, we're like, I guess we have to take it. Anyways. He was like, dude, you're in shape. You're just fat. Like, you can make the weight. We got this. I'm like, all right. Shit. He goes, you just have to try your best to stay mentally strong. My goal, especially as a kid, looking up, the first thing you see is UFC. So you're like, yeah, I wanna do UFC. I want to be a UFC fighter, even though it's MMA. And it sucked. It really, really sucked. And I would run almost 6 miles a day.
Sure.
My usual routine would be run 3 mile interval. 20-minute elliptical, and then go on, or shadow box 10 minutes, and then go in the sauna for about 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And I repeat that twice a day.
Sure.
And then I know my body was getting really, really tired from just running. My legs were exhausted. So we went to a Russian banya, like the Russian bathhouses, nothing but saunas. And so we went there for about 8 hours. Just sauning off and on and just, doing whatever. And I ended up losing about 8 pounds each day.
Are Russian saunas hotter or something?
Well, the Russian sauna itself is hotter.
Okay.
The place itself has the Russian sauna, the American sauna, steam room, stuff like that. Those are really, really nice when you're not cutting weight. But yeah, I had to do it when I was cutting weight for 2 days in a row. And it was cool because they sponsored me for those 2 days, which was, really, really nice. But it sucked. And then fight week, we made it. And, I'm in the bathtub for the last go, and there's a song, I think it's called Better Life by Grace Vanderwall. It's, one of the little girls that was on America's Got Talent. And it was just one of those peaceful songs, just like close your eyes and just dream of a better life. And I'm just in the tub. There have been times, man, where I'm in the tub crying because it's so painful, or sometimes just so mentally exhausting where you just don't want to do it anymore.
I never knew how hard, I just watch it, from afar. I never knew how hard it was until I saw a video of Chris Cyborg
I was about to mention that, yeah.
going through a weight cut, and I seen that athlete going through so much pain and almost like asking to be cut out.
So I can tell you this, yeah, I can tell you this. I've had, because of how emotional I am with weight cutting, and again, I kind of self-sabotage myself. Again, you see the chubby cheeks, and that's something I'm getting to back on Monday to get serious because I'm sick of the pain from it. Because I can make the weight easily, I just for some reason force myself not to. No clue why, just a mental thing. But Chris Cyborg, and my managers told me, he goes, dude, this is a Chris Cyborg moment for you. Like, relax. I've had camps where I'm crying. I've had camps where I want to just quit. I've had times in the treadmill where I had an argument with my college coach. He's like, "You got to go to 25." And there was a guy who wrestled in our team who had like some type of liver or kidney damage, and the doctor was like, "This it's because of the weight cuts. You can't cut any more weight." And he showed the doctor's note to the coach, and the coach was like, "You're bullshit. No, you're cut off the team." And it was a really dumb thing. So I was like, "Coach, this is going to kill me. Like, I feel like I'm going to wake up in the hospital one day." He goes, "Wake up in the hospital. Prove me wrong then, or prove me right, or prove me wrong then." And I was like, "All right, cool." I remember being on the treadmill, just hoping to pass out, or making the tub too hot, hoping to pass out in there. And it's crazy because the fun fact, in 1997, there was 3, I think it was college freshmen, if not, they're all like 19 and 20 years old, that died, because they had heart attacks or heat strokes. It's like 3 kids at 19, 20 years old, not even anywhere close to their prime,
terrible, man.
Really healthy because they're weight cutting too much, and that's why the rules changed in college when it came to weight cutting. But this last one, man, because of my emotions, again, my father passed away, and there's my past 7 years of my life with college and just traveling has been on a plane and in a hotel for almost 10 months every single year. Again, losing relationships with friends and social life and just life in general. So I'm always working, which is great, but there's the other side of there's nothing on the other side. So like, what am I working for? I'm working for you guys, but what's in it for me? Honestly, nothing anymore. So by the time my father passed, I came back for the funeral, buried him, we pulled the plug, buried him, did what we had to do, and then immediately the next day I left. So I'm like, cool, my family's good, I paid for all the services, like I'm the protector, so I'm like, everyone else is good. I didn't think it really started to hit me until I think Dia de los Muertos, like Day of the Dead for everyone, and it was I think it's like 4 days, and my family, went to the burial spot, made ornaments, made stuff, and I was like, oh fuck, I forgot he died, like little things like that, because you kind of there's a few stages of grief, and I'm now starting to learn that through reading and stuff like that, through therapy, but I never really took care of my mental health, never learned how to grieve. That was my first ever real big loss. The first thing I had was my dog, so it's a whole different thing. So that happened, and I was like, you know what? Every single interview I did leading up to that fight, they knew about my father, and they knew I still accepted the fight. I'm like, screw it, that's all I know how to do. The day I actually found out we were going to pull the plug on my father, I had 3 hours before I had to leave for my flight. They're like, what are you going to do? I'm like, I'm going to go downstairs and train. What else am I going to do? They're like, well, you should take time to yourself, which would have been the right thing to do, but all I know is training. And my dad, again, my brothers had 2 near-fatal injuries. They would have been pissed if they would have woken up and I would have been in the hospital waiting for them instead of training. Like, that's just my family. Literally, everyone is behind me pushing me. So they're like, don't worry about us, do you. But I'm the worry kid. So I ended up pushing through, sparring that day, flew back, pulled the plug, did the funeral, and then came back to training, Dia de los Muertos, did all that stuff. And then I tried to fly to Bahrain early to get acclimated to the time and whatever elevation, if they had any. And it was just, there was a lot of important people there from my team, which are very, very close. And they started to really kind of bring up my father and try to make me emotional to like open up because they knew I was extremely stressed. And I never cried so much in a week. I was like, fuck, I hate crying. Like, I'm not an emotional person. Plus, my father and I have coaches and my manager is also a Marine. Like, they understand crime, but they're like, be tough. Come on.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to open up to certain people, but then things were just coming out. I'm like, okay, cool. And then throughout the week, my weight ended up kind of, it was weird because we started off strong. Throughout the week, everything was great. and then we ended up plateauing for some reason, almost like 8 pounds over, and it was the same weight for 4 straight days. And I'm like, why isn't my weight going down? Like, we're only losing what we drank, but we're not getting anything extra like we usually do. We usually, if we're drinking 8 pounds of water a day, we're usually losing about 11 pounds of water. So it's like 3 extra pounds to lose every single day. You're doing the math. This is going to make sense, but never happened. I'm like, but my body looks like I'm at 25. So whatever I was feeling emotionally, it was coming out physically.
That's
so
crazy.
Everything were like, I was even running, and I was telling my nutritionist, I'm like, dude, this is how much I was breaking down, where I'm running next to my opponent because you only have so many treadmills, and sometimes you gotta
you gotta do
your opponent. So I'm running next to him, and he's running hard, and sometimes you see somebody, you're like, all right, I'm gonna raise the speed, stuff like that. And I decided to walk a bunch of times because at the time I was like, dude, I just don't care, or my body was just exhausted. But I'm not doing this. Was easily the lightest work I was doing to cut the weight, and it was awesome. But for some reason I plateaued, and then I couldn't ramp it up because my body just wasn't partaking in anything. And then we went to the sauna that day, and I'm like, all right, cool. Like, worst comes to worst, instead of an hour, we'll do 2 hours. Like, we'll just play it smart. And first 15 minutes we're in there, I wasn't sweating. I'm like, man, 15 minutes, it's kind of taking a while. I'm usually sweating 5 minutes in. I'm getting it all out. I had my team with me, and I'm sitting on the floor. They're all sitting on top, and I'm like, man, I'm kind of starting to hyperventilate. Not because I'm exhausted or like heat-wise. I'm just kind of like, I'm panicking. I'm thinking too much. And so I'm like, here, I need to get out. I laid on the floor, and I felt like I was going to pass out. Like, I started to get numb. And then because, again, like I was saying earlier, I'm so in control of my emotions, I was now not in control of my emotions, so that's what made me freak out. And then I started to have this panic attack where I'm hyperventilating, and I'm like, I felt like I was going to throw up, but like nothing was coming out because I had nothing in me. And just, it's crazy because the sauna was in like this massage parlor, and the lady's like, oh my God, is he okay? And they're all like, he's fine, he does this all the time. And I'm just like having this panic attack, what the fucking hospital? Like, and it's just one of those things where, like, because I was having the panic attack, they were telling me to breathe. But I was and I knew what to do.
Have you had a panic attack
no,
before?
That was my
first one.
So, and I knew what to do. Like, I've seen people have panic attacks. I've coached them through it. And I was so mentally broken that I just didn't want to fight anymore. I just wanted to go home and spend time with my family.
Yeah.
And so I was hyperventilating. They're like, dude, breathe slow. Why are you breathing harder and faster? Like, the only reason I was doing that is because I was trying to pass out. Like, I was like, come on, I just want to pass out and just end it and wake up somewhere different, And so it just never happened. And then eventually I was like, God damn it, all right. Picked up controlled my breath, and I was good. And then we did the sauna again to try to do it. I was like, guys, let's just go home or back to the hotel, and then we'll reassess what we need to do. Every interview leading up to that fight, I wasn't even talking about the fight. I'm like, I'm excited for the fight to be over so I can just lay down or go on my knees after the fight, whatever the verdict might be, and just cry. And that's, again, big for me to say because I'm not an emotional person when it comes to that. And so mentally I was broken. So I, assembled my team together. I was like, guys, I'm not going to fight. And they're like, I mean, we support you, but why not? I was like, one, the weight obviously sucks. That's not helping. So it's going to be very, very painful for me to make the weight. And two, I don't want to fight. Like, I had one fight where my emotions came out to play, and that was the Alex Perez fight. And there was a lot of things behind the scenes with that as well, where I was forced to fight, and there was so much stuff. But I was so mentally broken in that fight to where I landed one real strong shot, and I saw it there clear as day, landed a nice overhand right, and I saw him wobble and stumble back, and I never walked forward. And then eventually, inevitably, he ended up TKOing me. At the end of the fight, we came back to the locker. He's like, hey, man, dude, you hit hard. Like, why didn't you push forward? Because I expected you to be a forward fighter. I was like, I just didn't care. I just wanted to go home. So kudos to you. And just kind of walked away. We traded jackets and, walked away. And it was just one of those things where there's a lot of pressure in the sport. So I ended up, telling my team I'm not fighting. Decided to tell, the promotion, which sucks because it's 2 days before.
Yeah, that sucks.
And I was the main event, the biggest event in Asia's history, which is, crazy thing. They had my poster on a building that has like 80 floors.
That's awesome, man.
So
that's
like
awesome.
The whole building, one side
that's
of it,
awesome.
which is crazy. But it was one of those things where it's like, dude, I can't do it. So I ended up, it's like, hey, I'm a man. I'm a very honest person, very truthful.
Yeah.
You guys ask, I'm more, happy to put out there. But I was like, let's go to the press conference. Let me make it right. Let me apologize to my opponent and make it public. Then I did. Obviously, kind of cried a little bit, teared up a little bit, but kind of needs to be said. And I've been kind of told not to make videos on mental health right now.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make them not this week coming up, but the next week, because they're like, dude, work on yourself mentally right now, because it's like anything. Don't make decisions on emotions.
Right.
It's like, because then you're going to say things you don't want to say. You're going to do things you don't want to do. Be right. Get smart. And, me, I just vacationed with my brother in Orlando for a week. I've been working with a mental coach. Met a couple really, really cool philosophical and psychological people down in Orlando, too. And just now I'm going to see a therapist on Monday and just get professional help. I know I'm seeing there's a support group called MVP, Emerging Veteran Players, that I usually try to go to every Wednesday. And it's pretty much all veterans and former professional athletes. We meet up at Pow Fitness. And it's just, we work out for an hour, and then we talk for about 2 hours. It's all closed room, no phones, no anything, and we just talk about whatever the case you want to talk about, whether it's good, bad, anxiety, pains, war, athlete stuff. And, I told them about my UFC days. I'm going to tell them about this on Wednesday, and it's just one of those things where I'm now trying to take care of my mental health. I'm reading 4 books, which I hate reading, so it's just like I read 55 pages in like a week, so it's one of those things where like I just hate reading. But I'm doing it.
You've matured, right? Because I haven't even heard this story from you. I watched Alex Perez interview afterwards where he said, hey man, this could have gone both ways. I just so happened to make it happen, but it could have easily happened for Shorty, just like it happened for me. And then like hearing the story from you and how now you knew that you weren't in the correct mental state to perform at your best, and you said, I've been here before.
I didn't want it to happen again for multiple reasons. One, for my health, because I took 107 shots, 103 of them to the head, the Alex Perez fight, because I just didn't want to go down. I never got knocked out. My body just gave out. So it was just one of those things where like my body was like, all right, cool, we're done taking these shots. And I remember all of it, which really sucks, but it's just one of those things that after that, you get extremely belittled. It's like you lost a fight. There's a lot of, shaming on the internet and all that stuff. And it's like, man, you're this, you're not that good, blah, blah. And it's like, I'm a lot better. I mean, hell, I could have beat him, he could have beat me, whatever, like he was saying. Like, it could have gone either way. But it's the fact of I'd rather have lost at my best, knowing that, hey, you were the better man today than I could have done, compared to losing at my worst, and even still today saying woulda, shoulda, coulda. Almost for like 6 months after that fight, you're still having dreams of just anxiety attacks, mentally at least, of just thinking of like you're clinching, you're tense of what I could have done in that fight or whatever the case may be, you daydream. So it's just one of those things that I didn't want it to happen again. And 2 is, man, I could have CTE later on in my life. I can have Parkinson's. I can have, I already have memory loss. I already have some type of vision loss. I already have a slur. I already have a stutter. I have.
You talk better than us, bro. You should have a freaking podcast.
Depends on the day. I'm trying to get one. I have, muscle and joint pains, the arthritis in certain areas. So my flexibility is shit. There's a lot of things where I feel a lot older than I should.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that I'm just trying to enjoy the journey while I can and try to live it the best I can.
So, I mean, you're coming up on your prime here, right? I mean, how old are you?
I'm 27, so between 20 and 32 is your prime.
Right. And now we've seen a lot of UFC fighters that are having great success right there in the mid-30s or whatever. So, I mean, you're just coming up, and then all this stuff that's really happened to you is building you into the superstar that I know, and we all know that you can be.
It's a journey, man. It's one day at a time, and I'm trying my best to break down goals instead of look at the long term. Me, I'm not interested in fighting. I'm going to fight again because that's my living.
Yeah.
But I've never been interested in fighting. It's a great way for me to be a role model. Show people if I'm doing it, so can you. I'm fighting to literally achieve my goals because the goal I want to achieve is owning my own gym in Chicago or Cicero or Bern, whatever the case may be. And, not just a gym financially for myself, but also make it like a YMCA where it's like a group center, like the Boys and Girls Club, where they can come on in. Hey, your parents don't have money, cool. We're able to, finance or pay for you in certain ways, or find people to sponsor kids and stuff like that. Because I think the biggest thing is my mother, brother, and father all live their life through me. The success wise, and they're very, very proud of it. I love it. Me, I don't care about success. I love the popularity. It's great. I get free things every once in a while. That's awesome. But I don't really care. So it's just one of those things where they never had the opportunity. But I look at my father, and especially my brother. Even today, my brother has been hit in the head with a bat twice. Somebody tried to kill him. He's been stabbed 3 times in the stomach, where his organs are in his hands. Like he's had some near fatal injuries. He's technically died twice. and he's still more athletically talented than I am now.
Really?
He's heavier. He's obviously out of shape compared to where I am. But when it comes to the natural talent that he had, he started way above me. So it's one of those things that if he had the opportunity or even possible mentorship, like I finally got at Combat Dough, maybe he could have been where I'm at, if not 10 times better. So it's you never know until you try. I don't want to be that typical jock in high school, which we all know had their heyday there, and then didn't go to college, didn't do this because either they didn't know, weren't guided, or didn't have the money.
Right.
There's a lot of things like that.
Yeah. So you signed up. So let's talk a little bit about the UFC. I have no idea if you're looking back at your UFC days, looking back. But you signed up with a new organization. I've heard that you're super, super happy.
I'm getting paid 2.5 times more, which is so much better because the UFC didn't want to pay me anything more than the basic contract, which is again the resentment I have towards them. I was paid the basic contract, even though I had more accolades than any UFC fighter entering the UFC. I did what Conor McGregor did at 14-2 in Cage Warriors, but I did it at 5-0 and defended a belt in the process, which he never did. And I had a lot of hype under me with a lot of followers before even entering the UFC. I think I had 17,000 before entering the UFC, which is usually more or a lot more than the average person. And they didn't care. Sadly, I was in a dying division, and it just so happened that the division I was in, no one wanted. So when it came to signing new fighters, they're like, we'll take you, we like you, but we're not going to pay you like we like you. We're not going to pay you, like if you're any other weight class, if you're a 55er, you get paid tons of money. Or you get respected at least. And that was, I think, the biggest thing for me is I never got respected. I had the Jared Brooks fight in 9 days. And then the Alex Perez fight, I wanted to fight in September. I fought August 4th. I wanted to fight sometime in September, have a training camp. They told me no, I was going to fight in December. I was like, okay, crap. All right, I'm in the back of the bench type of thing, just waiting my turn. And they're like, hey, we lied, the next day, or the next week after binge eating and knowing I'm going to have a nice long break. I'm fat, spruced up all over again, and they're just like, hey, you're going to fight in 20 days. You either take the fight, or we're going to move your fight until sometime next year, and next year doesn't mean January. It can mean next December.
And this was already WME, right? This is...
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I believe so, at least. And, so I'm like, all right, cool, I'll take the fight. And then mentally, I just didn't want to fight. I didn't want to do anything. The weight cut sucks. And even though I had 28 pounds in 20 days, and it's technically easier, 9 days, 26 pounds, it felt much worse because of my mental aspect, my mental state. And so, again, leading up to it, and a lot of the backgrounds behind the scenes, I ended up not physically performing, losing, and then being told I wasn't going to fight again until next year, which I don't want to fight until maybe December anyways, or around that. So I'm like, okay, cool, give or take, I'll be good, because I want to mentally kind of take care of myself when it came to all the damage I took, because I've never taken that much damage. And so I'm like, all right, let me relax, kind of recoup and go from it. I was training, doing all these things, and then I was like, you know what? Let me create a mental podcast for people. A lot of people ask me advice, whether it's your amateur status, this, that, kind of a Big Brother video series. So I'm like, you know what? Let me talk about certain things. And I want to talk about certain newses that I can bring up, like Ben Askren being traded to the UFC and DJ being traded to ONE FC. And I was like, man, that's actually a really bad thing for me and all the flyweights. Let me make a video about it. I made a pure speculation video, not knowing what this might be, and I looked at it from a business standpoint. I go, this is when DJ was supposed to fight TJ, and DJ kept denying the fight because whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? Dana White was yelling at DJ and threatening him, letting them know, like, hey, if you don't take this fight, I'm going to cut the entire flyweight division. Not just you, but the entire flyweight division. I'm like, dude, that's horrible. Like, you want this fight so bad, you're just going to completely, fire 40, 50 people. And I'm like, man, I just got in here, So
yeah.
They ended up trading him because he just lost about Cejudo the same day I ended up losing my fight. He lost about Cejudo, which I believe he won the fight. But he ended up being traded. And I'm like, wait, Dana White wanted to cut the best champion in UFC's history, the most defended belt. I believe it was 11 title fights, 10 defenses, or 11, 11 defenses, 12 title fights. I can't remember, but the best champion in UFC's history, and we have no one else, like him. So you wanted to cut the best champion in UFC's history. Who do we have after in the flyweight division? We don't have a Colby Covington. We don't have a Conor McGregor. We don't have any other big names.
Right.
So it's like, you want to cut the best guy. What do we got next? No one. So why not cut the whole division anyways? If you got the best guy gone, what do you need us for? And then slowly, my video ended up getting really, really popular through like BJPen.com, MMA Junkie, stuff like that, which I'm like, yeah, cool, get promoted a little bit. So the UFC saw it, and they were like, no, we're not cutting the MMA, or the flyweight division. And the next week they're like, all right, we are cutting the flyweight division. All right, you're cut. And I'm like, what? And so when I got cut, sadly, I ended up like fast tracking the flyweight division being, released, which kind of sucks. Sorry, guys. So everyone who lost slowly got cut, or if their contract ended, if they didn't like you, they got cut. My other resentment is I know it's political, and I know just the world runs and who you know.
Yeah.
But most of the flyweights that even lost, or their contracts got ended and got re-signed at the flyweight division, were buddies of the matchmaker, or they were from the state of the matchmaker, or there was some type of ins and outs with the matchmaker. So it's like, oh, come on, that's shady. You're not keeping the best guys. You're just keeping who's cool with you.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things. It's like, all right, let's completely forget about resume and accolades and hard work. Let's just go with people who you like.
Do you think DJ and TJ should have fought?
It would have been a fun fight.
For sure, right?
It would have been a very, very fun fight. We actually all talked that day. It was me, TJ, and DJ all in the group just kind of like chatting for whatever. I used to train with TJ Dillashaw, and then DJ was just a cool guy. I was like, oh man, he is tiny. Like, damn, good for you for winning all these fights.
Total beast, man, too.
No, he's a small person. Like, he could fight strawweight probably if he wanted to, which is 115. But I think he should have fought. But as a legacy thing, I think he just wants to be the best flyweight in history, which easily he is. But I think it would have been fun for him to be just one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in general. Like, yeah, you have all these title defenses, but something that makes Manny Pacquiao so different is he ended up being the first 8-division world champ. So it's like he did something no one's ever done in history. I mean, even with like Mexican fighters, Marquez, Chavez, De La Hoya, they didn't just stay at one weight class and be there the whole time. They're like, cool, we'll bump up a few pounds. Cool, we'll bump more. Canelo lately, he's like, let me be different. I could easily dominate this weight class, but let me be different and bump up. I think that's why Triple G in a sense gets a little belittled because he stayed at the same weight class for so long. So it's crazy, but I think he should have taken the fight. It would have just been entertaining, but it would have been a bad fight for him because he his only losses have been at 135, and it's been at high level people that TJ's either beaten or gone up really close fights up against.
But TJ was coming down, right? He was going to.
Yeah, TJ was coming down, and he did make the weight, which again that was a whole different thing. I think he still shouldn't have done it. I knew he could make the weight, but it's, with my mental side of weight cutting, man, it's like you're too worried about the weight instead of your fight. So he did it, and obviously got banned and all that stuff for the it's not steroid, but
POPs.
The POPs. So it's like it's and that's self-sabotage as well in a sense of you put so much pressure on yourself. Now you're going to do anything to win. And TJ, I know from firsthand, he hates losing in anything. He hates losing. I mean, besides practice, like he hates losing at arcade games. Like he hates losing in general. Like we ended up going to Dave & Buster's here in Chicago, and we're playing a game, and I guess he was trying to do this jackpot thing. He never win it. And then I showed up late, and he's like, "Oh, let's try this game." Like he wants to laugh at me, and I don't know. I won the jackpot the first try. I'm like, "Oh, look at that! Wow, did you win this?" And he's like, "No." And he just started playing, never won it. So he's just one of those guys that he wants to win.
Yeah,
nothing wrong with it, but his same thing with Ronda Rousey. Like their will to win is so much that they'll either quit or excuse me, they'll either cheat or quit. Like Ronda Rousey, she's like, "All right, I'm done. I'm not in this anymore." So it's sad, but he's learning from his mistakes and he's getting better by it. I'm excited to see his return.
Yeah. I mean, look, DJ for sure is to many he is the GOAT, right? Because he's defended so many times, and then TJ, I mean, he's right up there. Mm-hmm. He's so good. I think the problem is also that UFC was in that mode where they were trying to create as many super fights as they possibly could. I would have, just like you, I would have loved to have it. I just think that the division didn't really have a lot of interest just because the characters. But I mean, the difference here where you've learned is that now you're self-promoting yourself, right? Like you understood the flaws of what was going on, and now you're taking it into your own hands to promote fights and promote yourself and be the businessman.
You have to, man. It's, even though we use people to advance our careers, like, hey, you're helping me, I'm helping you. That's awesome. MMA is not going to last forever. My career could be done tomorrow. I could walk outside right now and trip, and I don't know, what doctor tells me I can't fight again. So it's a process of knowing that I need another set, like sort of revenue after that, whether it's sponsors, whether it's coaching, personal training, whether it's owning the gym, or a complete different venture. I mean, I know UFC fighters who work at Applebee's.
That's crazy, man.
Current UFC fighters who work at Applebee's.
That's crazy
because they don't have enough money to get by. You know, so it is a struggle. Or like me, you randomly get cut. You know, so it's like, oh, I thought I had a 4-fight contract, but we're not going to respect it. We're just going to cut you whenever we want because that's what you can do.
Yeah.
So it's the crazy thing with, and that's just MMA in general, but that's the crazy thing of this sport of you have to make some side of revenue. Mainly these days, with social media, you have to be popular. A lot of people,
which you are.
Well, you think about women, for example, Paige Van Zandt. You know, again, not trying to shame her, but you know, she ends up getting plastic surgery. She does this. She is not the best fighter in the world. She's lost to the high level women. She's done a really good job as well, but she's not one of the best fighters in the world. But she's getting promoted on like the co-main events or on the main card and getting a lot of money because of her looks. And it's like, okay, or Sage Northcutt. You know, he's a freaking Ken doll. Like, good for him. You know, like, I wish my parents were nutritionists too because that kid just grew up jacked.
Yeah.
And his sister too. Like, they're both jacked.
Really?
It's just one of the things that he looked so good. And his debut, and you can always tell a setup fight. Like, his debut in the UFC was just, like, literally some Latino dude, some Mexican dude who just came in last minute. They were like, we'll give you $10,000 to fight him. You want to fight? Yeah, let's do it. And then, you know, it just looks bad because the guy's not good. You know, so it's just one of those things that it depends on how you look now, how you promote yourself, and certain things. I don't have the look, so if I can promote myself in any other way, whether it's my YouTube or speaking or whatever the case may be, then so be it. I'm doing it that way.
Dude, you are super busy. Like, I keep track of your Instagram or whatever, and you're so busy and you're so involved in so many I mean, you're involved in the community. I've seen you out there in gyms and in high schools and stuff like that.
I was at Lyons Township High School yesterday.
Yeah, man, that's crazy, dude. It's well, I think most importantly, I think it's important to, like, I have an MMA fighter in my house, dude, and for most people like me, that's freaking cool as shit. This guy's been on TV, and now he's sitting here, you know, shooting shit with us. That's super inspirational. Not even just for other wrestlers or other athletes, for everybody that's around you.
There's only two people I've ever been, I guess, a fanboy for. One of them used to sponsor me. You guys ever used to watch Power Rangers back in the day? Like the Green Ranger, Jace David Frank in real life. He ended up sponsoring me through his clothing line. And then I met him in real life a few times. And we hung out in Houston, did indoor skydiving and stuff. And I was like, this is awesome. My friend's taking pictures. I'm like, thank you. You know, but like I'm talking like normal, but I'm just like, I don't care what you say. I just love talking to you, hearing your voice. You know, like you can be talking smack to me. I don't care. I like just, you know, and the next person, or the next probably two people I'd like to meet is Manny Pacquiao and Jackie Chan. Everyone from there. I've always kind of had the sense of when I was a kid, I kind of wish I wanted to have done it when I was younger. I would meet celebrities every once in a while, whether it was through acting and modeling that I did when I was a kid, or speeches, or whatever the case may be. And they were like, "Oh, go take a picture with them." I was like, "Nah, I want them to take a picture with me." They're like, "What?" I was like, I just feel it's rude because that's their thing. Everyone's always going to bombard them. I was like, if they want to take a picture, I'd rather have them come to me and take a picture. So I denied a lot of like photos or me taking photos of people, but now it's kind of like that where I'm just like, cool, I'm taking photos of, you know, high level celebrities or meeting these people. So for me, I just got so used to treating everyone the same that I never looked at anyone different. Like, yeah, you're this person, cool, you've done this, but that's awesome, that's great. But in a sense, we're also human beings. So I never try to put people in front of others because of their status. That's just how I've always been.
Yeah, I think part of it is also I can sense that you have a high belief in yourself. So you know that you
depends on the day.
Yeah, well, for the most part, right? Because you can mostly like, get it done the majority of the times when it counts.
Yeah, when it counts, definitely. But it's crazy because I'm now starting to notice how good I am in this sport. And it's not saying in a cocky way. I know my abilities and I know what I'm capable of doing. Yes, there's going to be fights that are harder than others, stuff like that, or just life in general. But mentally, it's like if you don't believe in yourself, then how are you going to win in anything?
Right.
You know? So with this sport, like I've never been a fan of fighting, but I've just been really, really good at it. It just so happened that I kept winning, which is one of those things that I was doing it for others. So that's always my goal. So right now, you know, I guess this is where it kind of gets deep. It's like I fought for my father. My father's gone. Why do I fight? Damn, I got to find that answer. So for me, it's like, yeah, cool, I'm fighting for money, but then what else am I fighting for? Then money is gonna I donate almost 30%, if not 40% of my money to my foundation and more people. So it's like I'm not making much money. I don't own a house. I don't own an extra car for a reason because I'm not making much money because I give a lot of it away. I always say, you're born into this world broke, you're gonna die broke. That's just kind of how it is. So for me, when it comes to status, comes to anything, I treat everyone the same. If I'm able to help, then I'm able to help. If I can't, then I can't. But I never really said no because I just didn't want to, in a sense. If I had the opportunity and didn't want to, then it just depends on the scenario.
So mentally, your mental training that you've endeavored here recently, what kind of stuff are you working on?
One thing I'm working on, there's a guy that I'm training with. His name is Andy Murphy. He's a mindset coach. And the thing we're trying to get to, and we're going to do it in the next session, is create a routine. Because everywhere I go, I'm trying to think of even just this last 2 months. The last 2 months, I've been in Florida, Rome, Abu Dhabi, back to Rome, back to Florida, Chicago, back to Florida, back to Chicago, back down to Florida for this vacation, back to Chicago. In New Year's, I'll be in Virginia, and then in January, I know I'm going to El Paso, Albuquerque, and Florida in a matter of 2 weeks. And then I'm be down there for probably a month. I'm be in Bahrain, which is in the Middle East, for a month, and then wherever I fight. So it's just one of those things where I'm always traveling, never at home or never doing certain things. So we're trying to create routines of no matter where I go, it's the same thing every day, where it kind of makes me feel more at home. That's kind of my mental. I guess one of the roots of my anxiety is just missing people, missing home, missing a social life. So doing things like that. And just talking more. I think that's probably easily the biggest thing, of talking more, trying to realize the root of some of your problems. So my stages of grief of when I was reading the book, I'm like, oh man, I can relate to all these stages. So it's a crazy thing where I think the people who relate to me the most, and I'm not at all comparing my experience to them because that's a whole different thing. They're like military guys. But we know how it feels when you lose people. We know how it feels to be in pain or not wanting to do stuff or the anxiety attacks. My friend just hit me up earlier. He goes, man, you should try this, try that, because this helps me with my anxiety attacks or whatever the case may be. So it's a crazy thing to where some of the certain people I talk to, even though they haven't experienced what I've experienced, and I definitely haven't experienced what they have, we can relate in some sort of way and help each other. So the mindset coach, my nutritionist, and a lot of people just at home talking is been a huge thing. It's kind of like screaming out for help, literally.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that because I was actually thinking, while thinking of what you go through, that the stakes are at the highest level. The only thing that would be higher than that would be war, right? You can lose your life in the cage too. So the stakes are super, super high. So I think what you've gone through, I think, inspires everybody too.
It's hard, man. There's a lot. I remember my first fight as an amateur. The reason why I lost is because I gave myself like a mini panic attack in my head. I've never put on MMA gloves before, but I was fighting. I looked at the guy's accolades because he wasn't a debut guy like myself, and he was a bigger guy, multiple fights. He was a champion. And then I looked at the crowd, and I'm like, damn. A lot of people are here. That's when world stars start to get real big. So I'm like, man, I want to be a world star. The thing you saw world star all the time were knockouts. So I'm like, fuck, I want to be a world star. So I started to over-contemplate it, and I froze, for a long period of time. And then eventually woke up, and I felt better. But it was just one of those things that I thought too much. And our biggest problem is just human beings. Sometimes we over-contemplate the wrong things. It's not bad to overthink, but you have to think properly on certain things in certain areas. And for me, I thought too much on the bad things. That's why a lot of people have anxiety attacks. I thought too much on controlling or why I'm losing my control and my emotions, and I don't know, I'm having this panic attack because I'm freaking out that I can't have my emotions in check. So it's a lot of things where, trying to figure things out.
Yeah. So dude, I still feel like if I were to be told that I'm going to go into a cage in a couple of weeks, I'd be freaking out. I'd have panic attack for sure.
That afraid of what the ramifications are going to be after. One fight, I broke my hand, tore my MCL, 12 stitches in my eye, and 2 staples in my head. And I couldn't walk for a good month.
Yeah.
So it's one of the things that you never know. And I had a trip planned that was supposed to be my first vacation. I was like, oh, we're going to go to Orlando, we're going to take Cruz, do this, and then I ended up being on a wheelchair. So who wants to go on a vacation with a person in a wheelchair, freshly off a wheelchair that was just walking? So it's like, no offense to the handicaps out there, but it's just one of those things that's like, there's a lot of pressure in this fight of winning, because if you don't win, you don't advance in your career. If you don't win, you don't make more money, because most fighters, we don't have boxing where it's just one paycheck. It's 10 and 10, 20 and 20. And you're at the lower levels, it's 1,000, 1,000. So it's not medical bills. It's not enough to pay for probably even a month for food and the stuff you pay for every single day. So it's a lot of things where most of the guys that are lower level, especially lower level, you're not going to make it to the top, sadly. That's the stat, but you have to enjoy the journey. You have to look at it from a different perspective, enjoy the journey while you can, and find the fun in the sport again, which is right now my biggest dilemma, is trying to find the fun in the sport again, because, dude, you're an amateur, you're just saying yes to everything, because you're like, yeah, cool. Like, as a kid, it's like, oh, we're playing football down the street, yeah, let's play some football. Like, that's how it is as an amateur. But as a pro, it's like, cool, I need this certain amount of money, I need to fight this date, I need to fight this person, no, I'm not going to fight that guy, he's too good, damn, they're taking this much money from me, I need this much money. So there's a lot of things to it. You're fighting in front of a big crowd. Me, I never cared about the cameras. So when it came to fighting at the Staples Center compared to fighting in a cage down the block, it's the same thing. You're still fighting the person, right? So don't overthink it. So it's a lot when it comes to the mental game. But man, I'm doing a lot to take finally time to myself, to relax, to calm myself down, and to, in a sense, try my best to literally reassess myself as a whole.
Yeah, man. I mean, again, I'm sure you know this because you've been told this or told this every day. But you're a huge inspiration to, I bet you, a lot of the people that are around you, especially the people that are following you. So I would say that I would love to see you come back and crush it, and I would love to see you once again be a champ in the new organization that you're in.
That's my goal, and that's my next, in a sense, ultimate goal.
Yeah,
I did it twice already, champ as an amateur, champ as a pro for Titan. I wanted to repeat it.
So I wanted to ask you real quick, just because the bantamweights, flyweights in the UFC, they've been. I mean, there's some great fighters there, but DJ moving off, and then I also, I'll tell you what I was super into, dude. I was super into WEC. Mm-hmm. That was like, because it was on just regular TV or whatever, so I'd watch it all the time, and I would. Cerrone was in there, and just a bunch of great fighters. Do you think that because the UFC is investing so much time into the 45, 55, 70, do you think another organization is going to develop that's going to pull all this talent, and you're going to have, because that's what made the WEC, right? I mean, it was just a bunch of talent and awesome fights. Uriah Faber and
I don't believe so. Bellator is kind of that promotion that they have. Women weight classes. They have pretty established women's division now. They have these old fighters that are veterans coming on in just to bring shows and numbers, which some of the fights just don't make sense. But they didn't want anything to do with flyweights. They're still not interested in it, and I get it. It's just not a bankable thing. Because one promotion's done with it doesn't mean that another promotion's going to bank off it. It could be, another man's trash, another man's treasure. It could be, but right now I don't see any promotion doing it. They did start signing people, like Ryzen signed people, KSW, Brave, my promotion, and one. They started signing people. The only problem is that we are the problem in a sense. I look at it this way: DJ, best champion in history. All the fighters in every single weight class are around the same category style. Like, they're around the same level. They're in the UFC. They fought so many fights. Like, yes, some divisions might be a little more stacked than others, but it doesn't mean that they're not as good fighters, if that makes any sense. The only problem is we're not popular. Why is that? DJ, and I stated this in the Eric Wani show too, DJ, I had 11 title fights or 12 title fights. 2 of them were main events. But you're creating history. His history-creating fight and his just all those fights with it, he had 2 of them main event. Why weren't there any more? You're the best champion in his history,
right?
Because no one knows him. But the hardcore MMA fans know. Why do they know? Because they respect the sports. They respect the champion. But the UFC or even any MMA promotion, boxing, same thing as well, it's all sauna talk. It's all bar talk. It's all whatever the case may be. So it's kind of like politics. Or if you don't know anything about politics, and I don't know, or somebody keeps on saying something, I don't know, or they're like, yeah, he's right. And they just kind of repeat it like a mockingbird type of thing, or a parakeet. So if I go in the sauna, or Dana White, for example, if Dana White says, man, freaking Conor McGregor's going to be champion again, I don't know, everyone's like, man, Conor McGregor's going to be champion again, and just kind of go from there. Or if they say, man, Demetrius Johnson is a wuss for not fighting DJ, or for TJ, then he's a wuss. I don't know, or they're like, yeah, we're glad he's gone, we don't need him, he's not that good, or, he's like, oh, the flyweight division's not exciting. Dude, we have knockouts. It might not be as much the heavyweights because they have nothing but power, but we're faster. We have to be more technical.
Way more action.
Yeah, way more action. And the bad thing is, because the UFC belittles it, or back in the day they were on UFC Fight Pass instead of the main card, it always got belittled because no one watches the UFC Fight Pass. That's a subscription, like the Zone and stuff like that. So it's like we're gonna watch what's at the bar. What's at the bar? The main card.
Yeah.
Maybe the prelims. So it depends on the promotion in general. When they had I got really upset at this. I had my UFC debut the next week. I was in Chicago watching Curtis Blades, one of my guys, freaking awesome. He was on the same card as Joseph Benavidez versus Sergio Pettis. Sergio Pettis was number, I think, 3, and Benavidez was number 2 at the time. So it's 3 and 2. Whoever won was going to get the title shot next. So this is a title contender spot. They're on UFC Fight Pass prelims. They were the second fight, so that means there was, I think, 12 fights. They're the second fight on the card. But you have, in a sense, number 2 and 3 guy, whoever wins going for the belt on the UFC Fight Pass prelims. Why? Because they weren't as popular as some of the other guys that were hired. So it's just one of those things where I talk about the Paige Van Zandt thing. She should easily be on the card, but there's no reason she should be on the main card against certain other fights because these guys, again, are higher ranked. So again, they fought to deserve that number. Respect that. That's something I do like about boxing a little bit because they have mandatory fights, but MMA they don't. Conor McGregor can immediately fight for the belt if he wants to because he has millions of dollars and he's popular. That's
right.
it.
He's just putting asses in seats, pretty much, right?
So it's a hard thing for the sport. It's a hard thing for the flyweight division because we don't get the chance. It's a relationship. It's 50-50. If one side is 75-25, it usually doesn't work. Hey, one guy's like, yeah, but the girl's upset. So it's one of those things where there has to be some type of 50-50 there. Hell, even 60-40, but DJ did his job. He was entertaining, just not fan entertaining to a certain aspect.
Yeah, even DJ had a bunch of entertaining fights.
Oh,
a ton.
Freaking finished his fight with Ray Borg, suplex to an armbar.
Yeah, crazy, dude.
And it's funny because we all do it in practice, but we have no balls to try it in a fight. He did it in a fight against a high-level guy, like top 5 guy, and you're going to promote it for a week and that's it?
He just never got the respect that he really deserved.
Yeah, and that's what it is, and that's something I do resent about the UFC.
Yeah.
And that's something I'm not looking towards anytime soon, or possibly ever.
Today we watched that Reese and Joshua fight, and one of the things that I like Reese, obviously, because he's Mexican or whatever, but I love Joshua's attitude because he's like the people's champ, right? He's very likable, he's good in front of the cameras, and I think he's got a whole nation behind him.
Yeah, well, the UK, let me rephrase that, because I've started to travel internationally. Every country besides the US will support you full on. If you're from the UK, look at Ricky Hatton.
Yeah.
There was a bunch of other fighters who traveled, they would literally travel with him. Ricky Hatton was one of those guys where, when he fought Floyd Mayweather, he had the crowd chanting at weigh-ins, So it's like, this is awesome. Manny Pacquiao, he goes somewhere, his whole country follows him. That country's poor, in a sense, to a certain aspect. But you go to America and you travel to a different country, they're not going to go. They're going to watch it on TV.
Why is that?
We're too privileged in a sense, and we're all competing with each other compared to supporting each other. That's why I say we can't be well together with our Team Shorty. I've helped former opponents, train for different fights. I've helped future opponents train for different fights. I don't care. If we fight each other, then we're going to fight each other one day. But when it comes to supporting, no one does that in the States because this is the land of opportunity. This is the land of, oh, you're in front of me, I'm going to knock you off so I can keep on pushing forward. But in different countries, everyone groups together to, get to the top. But in the U.S., it's too opportunistic where people become selfish. They see the money, they see the greed. I mean, America, in a sense, is a very, very corrupt country. And again, I've been international, so I hear some really, really bad things, but internationally, everything's taken care of, with a lot of things, So it's just one of those things that they don't have as much opportunity when it comes to being successful. This is a land of opportunity, and everyone's competing with each other.
Dude, I'll tell you what you do have. You have Chicago behind you For sure. You have a lot of support from the locals because you see, like, dude, this guy's he's like from the neighborhood, like he grew up in an area that I know, and he went to a high school that I went to, and so I think on a local level, I think you would have a lot of support, and then the Chicago market is huge, and boxing is huge here too. I'm sure you have a lot of boxing fans that are also following you.
Yeah, so the one thing I want to talk about for fighting being a four-man sport, which you reminded me of, is and actually where I met Ricardo from the Dapper Club was Garfield Park. We have the boxing gym there. The money team, Floyd Mayweather's money team. What's the acronyms? TMT. We have TBT. It's not Throwback Thursday. It's the Broke Team.
The Broke Team.
and it's like filled with Adrian Granados, Nathaniel Gallimore, Joshua Greer, and the late Ed Brown. Ed Brown. We have something called the Wall of Death there, which we have like the black ribbon to symbolize all the people who died. Now, we have pictures everywhere. We have a wall of death, whether they've died through sickness, through in the streets, through whatever misfortune. And which is crazy because you never know what's going to happen. Ed Brown was 20-0, 16 KOs, about to make his Showtime debut, and sadly got shot, a few days before Christmas, and passed away. It's one of those things to where fighting is an opportunity. If that wouldn't have happened, he would have probably made a few $100,000 in that next fight. He would have been out of the neighborhood. He would have moved out. My dad tells me every single day, or told me every single day, that, you're going to go, because I would come home and celebrate, party, whatever the case may be. He's like, you going to Chicago? Don't go to Chicago. Please don't go to Chicago. Even my brother now, because my dad's gone, he's like, don't go to Chicago, because I went to Pilsen yesterday. He's like, don't go to Chicago, please. I'm just like, it's fine. Like, people know me, but you just never know. People knew Ed Brown, but it doesn't mean the shot was attacked for him. It might have just been a straight bullet, or straight bullets. Whatever the case may be, it's just the fact of things can happen last minute, and fighting is a poor man's sport. And we go to that gym, it's all Latino, it's all black. There's rarely any white. If there is white, it's as light as me. And and it's all hood. They talk about drugs there. They talk about gangs. They talk about violence because of stuff they deal with every single day.
Yeah.
But how hard they train in the gym is because they're trying to make it out. This is the opportunity. So I tell people, whatever it is. I mean, look at Rick. He didn't decide to fight, obviously, but he's like, I'm going to join the Marines. And after the Marines, he's like, man, what am I going to do? Well, I have a niche for this. This is what I want to do. He did it full time. So it's one of those things that you go in 100% slowly to 100%, and you see where it takes you. That's why I say even with fighting, you're more than likely not going to make it to the top. What are the stats being a professional athlete in general? Even in the NFL and MLB, so like the stats are crap.
Super low.
So and I've known some talented people, but there's way bigger fish out there.
Right.
It's a fact of you have to enjoy the journey while you can, because once it's gone, it's gone. For me, it might be gone tomorrow. It might be gone when I'm 35 or even 40. But I still have possibly 20 more years, 40 more years to live after that. You never know.
Awesome fights coming up, even in MMA, but like fighting. Well, this last fight just happened, right? The heavyweights.
Yeah.
And then now Joshua. They said that they Joshua Reese there might be a third one, but I really don't want to see it again. To be honest with you,
I hope there's a third one.
You want to see it?
I mean, I always see when you got one guy who's knocking someone out and the other one winning the decision. I think it'd just be fun to see it. You never know.
It'd be fair for them too.
Rocky trilogy thing.
Yeah.
They're probably not going to make it.
Yeah.
Because they're just going to leave. They're going to leave him behind in the dust. Ruiz is like, who cares? It's not as popular.
Yeah, that's one of the bad things with all the promotions. I also want to see Joshua Wilder or Joshua Tyson Fury.
Well, that's going to come up sometime next year. The Fury Wilder fight again.
Yeah.
I'm excited for it, but we'll see what happens.
I don't want to talk about other fighters because you are the main event here, really, right? But I'm interested to see
who is this guy?
Yeah, who what you thought about some of the fights, because you have so much experience in fighting, and I know that I look at fights and I'm like, oh, that's great, he's jabbing him or whatever. But I'm sure you watch fights on a whole nother level, right? You understand strategy, you understand all these feints that most people don't really pick up on.
I hope. I've called things in fights, like while commentating. I'm like, man, you got to stop ducking his head. He might get uppercut out of nowhere. You're like, I called it. And it's funny because Joe Rogan, when he commentates, I think there's one fight, Edson Barboza was, winning this whole fight, and the guy's like, he has to push forward to win the fight. So Joe Rogan's like, do you just take the beating and kind of just keep on fighting the way you're doing and lose the decision, or you risk everything to get knocked out, or possibly get knocked out? And while he was saying knocked out, Edson Barboza knocked the guy out with like a really flashy spinning back heel kick. And he's like, knocked out, and while the other commentator's like, Edson Barboza, and Joe Rogan's like, dude, I freaking called it. I called it. Like, he's like, I can't believe I called it. He's not even talking about the fight anymore.
Yeah.
I can't believe I called it. It's like, that's me sometimes in my head where I'm like, cool, I saw the opening. Like today with the Joshua fight, again, it's 100% a repeat of, again, history does repeat itself just in different ways sometimes, is the Ruiz-Joshua 2 fight was reminiscent of Sugar Ray Leonard versus Roberto Duran 2, where now Joshua finally has it in his head that he knows what he needs to do. This is his strengths, and he used them well. It was a very smart fight. Was it entertaining? No. To me, at least. It could have been entertaining for certain people. I mean, I talked to Tyron Woodley, and I've stayed with him a couple times, where he has told me, I don't care if people think I'm an entertaining fighter or not. I'm winning the fights, right? I have the belts, right? Do I have a lot of money? Cool, that's it.
Yeah.
Are they calling me champ? Then it doesn't matter. I don't care what you think. I have the money. I have the time. I have all the gold. So what's the point? I don't care what you think, because what you think might get me in trouble.
Right.
I'm at where I'm at because I do what I thought was best, and that's technically what Joshua did tonight. So no matter what I say, I'm like, man, that's honestly, to me, it was a boring fight. But he did what he needed to do to win. That was, leaving Andy Ruiz with a bunch of jabs on his face, a lot of movement, and he was leaving Ruiz really, really frustrated because he couldn't actually sit there in the pocket and attack. Every time he did sit there and attack, he landed some nice strikes, but it's only so often.
Yeah. What do you think about the heavyweights? Who's the biggest challenge for Wilder in the heavyweight?
Fury.
It's
the height. The height is a big thing. I think that's why John Jones became so popular so fast. Not because of just the fame and stuff like that. Like he's a person that really promotes. Just he's so long. You have guys that have never been taken down, like DC get taken down by John Jones, where the accolades are very, very different. Jones is a great wrestler, but DC is just at another level. But he's getting taken down easily because
leverage,
it's
right?
just the length. That's all it is. It's different. Like for me, actually, one of the kids at the high school asked me yesterday, like, have you ever fought someone shorter than you? That ended up being one of my hardest fights because it's different. I'm called Shorty for a reason. I'm usually shorter than everybody. So when I fight, I'm used to punching up. Now I have to punch down. It's a whole different thing. It's like fighting a southpaw when you've been fighting Orthodox guys all year. It's very, very different. So when you fight a guy, now your height, when you're so used to being so much taller than everyone, you're like, okay, this is very different. Actually, John Jones' toughest fight was the first fight against Alexander Gustafsson because they were the same height. He wasn't able to do the same thing he usually does to the shorter opponents. So it becomes a huge thing. Plus, it's like today, Wilder's such a powerful opponent. You look at his last fight against, what was the Cuban guy? You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I think it's Luis
Ortiz.
Yeah, Luis Ortiz. And so he's fighting him, and Luis is doing what he needs to do.
Super boxer, bro.
Dude, he was super smart. He was winning the fight. I actually think this is a shutout. Maybe 1 or 2 rounds to Wilder, but I think this is a shutout. And then out of nowhere, one punch ended it all.
That's stupid power.
It's stupid power. It's like one of those, like the golden gun from 007. Like you're just a cheat. But it's just one of those things that, one, in fighting in general, that can happen no matter what. You can close your eyes, punch, and say, screw it, out of nowhere, you knock the guy out. And then 2, it's just game plans are different. Fury fights like Luis Ortiz, where he's moving around. He's a gigantic Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
He's a gigantic Sugar Ray Leonard, where he's light on his feet. He can move, but he's also taller than Wilder as well.
Yeah.
So that length, the movement, the slick, just the rope-a-dope, all that stuff, he does it all. And that's why I believe he won that fight against Wilder easily the first time. He
I agree.
Obviously got caught twice.
I agree. He's playing with fire, though, right? And he can get burnt is the problem.
Yeah, I mean, every like, I think Fury had a tough time, not his last fight, but the fight before this or something like that, where he was just all bloody up. And it's like, dude, different fighters, different opponents, different styles, different kryptonites in a sense. Like, because it wasn't a ranked guy doesn't mean that guy wasn't good. It's just might have been better for this guy or worse for that guy, and that's just how it is.
Yeah. There's so many other. So that fight's coming up here in February, right? February.
Yes,
Which one is
February.
that?
Wilder and Fury.
That's what they said. I don't know if it's confirmed yet. But.
Yeah, I think they locked it up, and then I think probably after that, maybe we'll see one of them go up against Joshua, which that should be.
We'll see what they decide because Joshua's been always on the other side. I believe they're on different promotions as well.
Yeah.
So that's why the Ruiz fight just made sense. He was the last minute replacement. He won the fight, and then they made that was forced to make the rematch. For me, I believe they should do a trilogy, just to show that boxing still has some type of respect for their fighters and their champions. Regardless of what people say, for Andy Ruiz, he technically was a champ.
He was.
He has a history of being the first Mexican champ. So, first heavyweight Mexican champion. So it's like, give him the notoriety, let him fight one more time. If he loses, then cool. Have him fight for another contender shot. But until then, I believe he's technically next in line because the other two big guys are somewhere else doing their own thing.
Tied up, yeah. What do you think the top 5 boxers right now as far as talent, pound for pound?
Oh man, pound for pound, that's a hard one because there's so many damn weight classes.
Yeah.
Pound for pound wise, I really don't know. When it comes to 1 or 2, it's between Lomachenko and Canelo.
Yeah.
You know, because both are bumping up weight classes. Both are doing their things. Both are around the same age. I believe Canelo's still younger. But both are really, really talented. You know, in their own way. Canelo just showed how talented he was against Kovalev of just waiting patiently. I thought he was getting outboxed, which he was. He was waiting patiently, found his moment, took advantage of it. And it shows how much damn power he does have. But then Lomachenko, on the other hand, he's made 2-time Olympians quit. You know, he was called No Lomachenko for a reason.
Rigondeaux when he did.
Yeah, you know, it's like whoa. And I was nervous for. I love Lomachenko, and I was definitely nervous about it.
Me too.
He just toyed with him. It's like this is crazy. The different skill levels, but again, different kryptonites.
Yeah, but both of them were Olympic gold medalists, right? Rigondeaux and Lomachenko.
It was the first ever fight that you had two-time gold medalists fighting against each other.
And Loma made him look
bad,
average.
Yeah, and it's just bad, really, because he's never done that to somebody at that point, I believe. You know, that at least has those type of accolades. Man, you have Terrence Crawford, you have Triple G, you have, you know, I do believe Triple G is at his, you know, last days, but he's still up there. Hell, Manny Pacquiao's even coming back, beating Keith Thurman.
Oh my God.
Keith Thurman's in his prime, technically. You know, so it's just one of those things where, you know, you have Errol Spence Jr., Mikey Garcia, even though he lost Errol Spence, like, he has time.
Yeah.
You know, so there's a lot of fighters out there. Lomachenko's teammate, he just bumped up to heavyweight. I can't remember his name. Usyk. He's doing his thing as well. He might be another contender very soon.
What do you think about the mixed martial arts? Anything you're looking forward to, or anything that you're looking to do?
Honestly, no. I've always been more interested in boxing.
Really?
The MMA fights, I think the only one I'm interested in, if it actually happens, is the Khabib-Tony Ferguson fight.
Okay.
But everything else, I'm just a fan of watching whenever I can watch it. If I can't watch it, like there's fights happening right now. You know, if I can watch it, I can watch it. If I don't, I don't.
Yeah.
You know, so MMA, depending on the fighter, has never been really entertaining to me.
Okay.
Boxing's just been a very, very fast sport that I've enjoyed most.
You've trained with Khabib before.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about that fight? About Tony and Khabib?
It's a tough fight because I've trained with like Poirier as well, and I thought Poirier was going to do a lot better. And it's not saying he's bad. It's just, you know, Khabib's that good. You know, so it's a fact of, I believe Ferguson has a really, really good chance because of his submission game.
Yeah.
And his carelessness. He doesn't care about getting hit. He wants to get taken down. So he literally fallen into Khabib's trap, but Khabib, in a sense, has fallen into his trap. Ferguson is one of the, I think out of that division, that'd probably be one of my most, if I were to be in that division, that'd probably be my most feared fight. Because you don't know how to train for Ferguson. You know how to train for everyone else. Khabib, cool, don't get taken down, keep it standing. Poirier, he wants to box, maybe take him down. Conor McGregor, he has no ground, take him down. Justin Gaethje, try to keep this fight standing, but you have to move and outbox him. You know, so you have your kryptonite for every fighter, but Ferguson is literally one of those guys where he's knocked people out, tapped them out, has taken people long distance, he made people quit. You know, so it's, you never know. He's high level to all of them.
Great on his back, right?
His weakness is his feet, but he's one of those guys that loves taking shots and gives them right back. So you just never know. And he's so he used to be a b-boy, a breakdancer, so it's one of those guys that just, he'll literally randomly do a flip to kick you in the face. He doesn't care. Like, that's just how it is. You don't train for that.
Yeah.
So he does a lot of things that are just unorthodox, and I always say he kind of fights like an amateur fighter, and I say this in a positive way. So pros don't train with amateurs for a reason, because the amateurs end up hurting the pros. Why? Because the pros are so adapted to moving to certain rhythms, to certain speeds. We know the techniques of certain things. That's why when you see really good guys get hurt, they get hurt by like funky guys or guys that kind of don't know what they're doing, you know? So Ferguson kind of fights like an amateur guy where you can't catch a rhythm. You don't know what the hell he's going to do. It's really not professional, some of the things he does, but that's why he wins.
Yeah, no, he's awesome. And dude, talk about mindset, right? That guy has gone through some struggles.
I mean, that guy has gone through some struggles. He's gone through a lot of mental stuff. People call him crazy, you know.
Yeah.
So again, that's your own thing. That's your own dilemma, and sometimes you have to face your own demons. But he's happy, the person he is, from what I know at least, and he's doing what he needs to do to succeed. And so far, he's doing a phenomenal job at it.
Yeah, man, it's one of the reasons. Like, I have a whole bunch of friends that are super like Tony Ferguson fans, because it's that the Hispanic, right? It's like one of the reasons that we like Hispanic. It's I know boxing, when Andy won, they were super pumped about it, because that means you're bringing a bunch of Mexicans into the heavyweight division. And Tony's doing that. You're doing that, being Hispanic, bringing a bunch of people.
Got to promote a little more that way.
Yeah, I mean, really, you don't even need to be honest with you. When you see Jose Shorty Torres, like, dude, that's my dude. Whatever it is, even like boys that are watching, right? Who are you going for? I'm going for the Mexican guy, you know, whatever. It's because we're a minority, you know, we tend to stick together, and why we root for you know
each other. That was the thing I was talking about other countries they support.
Yeah.
You know, even my uncle, again, my whole mother's side is from Mexico. They're like, dude, you should just walk around the Mexican flag, take pictures with the Mexican flag.
Bro, that's what it is.
Behind you. And I'll do it eventually, but
Yeah.
I'm actually now, given my last fight, I backed out. But I have a flag. I can't remember the fighter's name, which upsets me, but is a Japanese fighter in Pride Days. He walks out with a "We Are All One" flag, which literally has every single flag around the world on that flag, and the statement in the middle, "We are all one." So I'm walking on that flag now, not just going America versus this country or America versus that. I'm just like, dude, America's full of immigrants.
Yeah.
You know, like, we're all immigrants, so the whole wall crap is done. But you know, we're all immigrants, so why represent just America?
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. Your message is real genuine, and again, bro, this is an understanding. You motivate everybody, and the reason I think why you have so many followers. This guy has what do you have, 25,000?
Yeah, 25.7,
and climbing, and I'm sure we'll be way higher in the near future. And I think one of it is because you ooze positivity, bro, and that emotion is so attractive, right? Because you're so positive and you're a winner. We know you're a winner. We understand that you go through your struggles. You share those struggles with us, and we're drawn even further to you because you let us into your life, and because you share your struggles with us, man. We are super grateful that you spent a couple of hours with us. Is there anything that you wanted to go over with Shorty?
Ralphie watches more about fighting and stuff. I just recently found out about you, dude. But just from you coming out here and you telling your story, dude, I'm already a fan, man. I'm super inspired. I know you're going through some shit right now, man, and I know you're gonna pull through it, dude. And I'm looking forward to seeing your journey. I'm kind of glad that the book isn't fully finished yet, and
just trying to turn the page right now.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be a good story. I know that. So the Brave CF, you're still going to be fighting.
Yeah,
in the Brave CF.
So inevitably, I have 3 more fights on the contract. I got to figure out how it works when it comes to the time and renewing the contract, because it ends at a certain date technically, but I denied the fight, so it extends. But I mean, either way, I want 3 fights. My plan is for a title fight. Or my original plan was a title fight, defend it, and then bump up. But right now, for me, mentally, I don't believe I deserve a title fight. I think for the promotion, just because I did deny the fight, this is my second fight I've actually denied from the promotion last minute, which does mess up their cards, which Again, it's just annoying. They understand, they respect me for it, but still, you're fucking up people's stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't wanna. I want to have them trust me again, and put me. I don't care about belts. I've never cared about trophies. Never cared about belts. I just know it's a way of getting more money. I know it's a way of getting more fans. I know it's a way of doing more for people, and that's my ultimate goal. My ultimate goal is to have a gym. But I look at it this way. If I open up a gym now, cool, people will know me, Chicago will respect me, but I don't want just Chicago to come to my gym. I want people from other states, other countries to come on and go, damn, he has a gym. Like, for example, everyone wants to go to the Wild Card gym because Manny Pacquiao trains there. Miguel Cotto trains there. Amir Khan used to train there. Cool, man. All these people worldwide are going there. Why? Because Freddie Roach has a lot of accolades. Same thing with me. I have accolades now, but I want dozens to where people just get drawn towards me when it comes to training.
Yeah.
So I want to do that, but I've never cared about it. I just want to fight and do my job, win, and go home.
Yeah.
When the day comes, it's going to happen because we all see the talent, and then you have the whole package pretty much, dude. You promote yourself well, you speak super well, right? And you're a driver. You're a driver in life and in your fights. We recognize that you are something super special, man.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I know your goal is to open up a gym in Chicago, but you're going to fights with people and you're training people, right?
Yep. So when I travel down to American Top Team, where I primarily train now, I tell a lot of the amateurs or low-level guys, or even some of the women, because I'm a flyweight. There's not many people that they get to train with that's around their size. Like one of the fighters that I work with a lot is Jillian Robertson. She's one of the girls with like red hair. She stands out a lot, but she and a bunch of other people will sometimes be like, "Hey, are you free around this time to work with me?" So in my training, even when I'm getting ready for camp, I go, "Cool, if I can, I will. If I can't, I can't." There's actually another girl that I work with a lot, Kayla Haracho, which she's an upcoming pro fighter, and it's just more people like I go, "Hey, I'm here. Take advantage of it while you can, because once I'm gone, I'm gone." So if I can, I will. If I don't have the energy, then honestly, man, I think it's just safe for me to go upstairs and be smart. They respect it because I do give a lot of free time to help these guys, and I'm not officially part of the gym staff, which I don't want to be, but I do everything for free. So I'm like, here, cool, here's my time. I live in the gym, like upstairs we have the dorms. So when I go downstairs, I'm like, cool, I got free time. There's people because you're in the dorm, you're just alone. Whether it's a prison or not, I call it a prison sometimes because it's just great walls. The same thing every single day, like military school. It's just one of those things that's like, let me get out, let me help, and it's gonna give me a little boost of morale for my next practice too. I might be a little more tired because of it. I might lose a little sleep because of it, or have less time for myself. But I'm able to give time for others, and that's all I really care about.
Yeah. When you say that you fought for your father, are you saying that you didn't have a passion for fighting in yourself, or
I've never had a passion for fighting.
Now I know that you say that you fought for your family, but you made a statement where it kind of seemed like it was just for your father.
The statement is he was the primary reason why we fought. My mom wanted to give me an opportunity to accomplish whatever goal. She just knew I was very talented in martial arts. My brother was just the positive role model, or excuse me, the negative role model, but in the positive way of going, hey, I tried this, it didn't work, you should try this. And then my dad, again, always kind of gave us tough skin. I always said that, like, my mom gave me all her free time, my brother was the role model I needed, and my dad, well, he hit me so hard, at least I know I can take a shot. No one's going to hit me harder than my dad, So, and he hit me way less than for my brother. But he ended up being the father I needed by the time he finally, went away. That's, again, rather late than never, but it's a fact of I fought because he wanted to. My dad had all these goals in mind, but could never have the opportunity to achieve it. So he wanted to give his sons the opportunity. Every time I fought, he loved it, wanted me to fight more, so I decided to fight more. We literally watched fights, and that was our pastime. But I remember he would, I'd have a fight, we have the film on my phone, put on the TV, and then we're watching it as a family, and then I know we turn around, and we hear, sniffling, and we're like, the hell is this? And then we'd see my dad cry. I'm like, dude, what are you crying for? So just was really happy. We're like, dude, you were there. This was a week ago. We're like, let it go, Dad, let it go. And he was just one of those proud parents, which again is never my regret. Like I'm happy about that. I made my father very happy for me. But it's the crazy thing of, again, I fall for him. So when he finally passed away, and there was things where I'm looking at my phone or I'm doing certain things like pad work, I'll be like, oh man, I can't wait to send this to my dad. Oh damn, or like little things where it's like, cool. Every Sunday, my father and I would talk. I'm like, cool. I got 2 hours to spend talking to my father. Damn, So it's little things where now I'm starting to realize how much of an impact he did play in my life, because all my pastimes are related to what my father taught me. Fighting in general, watching fights while I run. Even my binge eating was because of my father. My dad was horrible at sabotaging my weight cuts. Dude, it was fucking bad. My dad smoked a lot of weed and did a lot of drugs, so he was, especially weed, he was just one of those guys that's like, he would always had the munchies, and he was a plumber. He knew nothing else. He grew up in the hood, so all the snacks were gas station snacks.
Yeah.
Hostess donuts, honey buns, chips, stuff like that. So I get home and he would just start unwrapping the Snickers. And I'm like, what is that? He goes, oh, I got it for you. I'm like, oh, Dad, I'm weight cutting. He goes, no, have it. And I'm just like, oh, man, it's already in my face. Cool, I'll eat it. Which is horrible. But it's just one of those things that, again, everything I do, I can easily relate back to my father. So when I said I only fought for my father, so why do I fight now? I don't have a reason for me. I have a reason for my mom. I have a reason for my brother, because I give them a lot of things. I get to take my brother around the world, which is a lot of money. He has a big bill under him because of me. But it's one of those things that, I do stuff for other people. I don't do stuff for myself. So I'm trying to figure out things that make myself happier, in a sense, find the fun again. Because training is fun, but the whole fighting aspect, the pressure, the stuff like that, to me personally, it isn't what I've wanted. But it's what I got. It's the life I'm living. My goal will be achieved when I'm older, 35, where I finally get to own the gym. But until then, I have to go through my trials and errors to get to that point.
It's the reason why I call you the people's champ, dude, because you're doing it for unselfish reasons.
It's crazy, because I remember people would get mad at me because I have my foundation, or I tell people, like, take pictures of me. I want people to know that I donated to this school. And they're like, dude, that's just selfish, blah, blah, blah. You want to be famous because you're donating. You're not doing it to donate. You're doing it to get selfish. I'm like, no. I'm not doing it to be popular. Like, yeah, that's cool. That's awesome. There's a benefit. I'm showing people that I'm giving back. So those people who see it can go, damn, he's giving back. Maybe I should give back a little bit too. So I look at it from the opposite spectrum compared to like Keanu Reeves, which again, amazing guy. I know is donating a lot of his money. No one knows about it. But then you start hearing the news, you're like, damn, this guy's amazing. That's awesome. That's great. Nothing wrong with it. Some people don't like the fame from it. I'm not saying I don't want the fame from it. Cool, if it happens, hey, that's a benefit. That's great.
Right.
But it's the fact that I want people to know. If it weren't for Manny Pacquiao starting his foundation, I wouldn't have started mine. So you got to look at that aspect. If it weren't for Manny Pacquiao giving back to people even before his foundation, I wouldn't have gave back to people, more than likely. So it's the fact of, there's the role models of little things. If you got kids who look up to me and they go, or people even my age look up to me and they see certain things, maybe they'll do it because I'm doing it too. I donated to my college this year. I donated and bought all the warm-ups, their varsity gear, like everything they need to wrestle. I ended up sponsoring my high school and buying their warm-ups and stuff this year. And that's a few $1,000s that I'm never going to get back because it's donated. But who cares? Money's money. I'm going to die broke, and that's just how it is.
I see a bright future, and I don't think you're going to die broke, dude. Yeah. And because you're for the people, I don't think the people will let you go out like that. I'm sure the amount of people that are going to approach you when you are done with your career, which you have easily probably another decade left in you. You're gonna be loved and admired. Obviously here in Chicago and likely probably around the world because you have fans everywhere. So you have a bright future and again, I know we understand you're going through a very difficult time and we are super motivated by your character and what you bring to your community.
So there's two things. You're still doing Team Shorty.
Yes.
You have gear.
TeamShorty.com.
TeamShorty.com. Now, what kind of gear are you selling?
Selling pretty much everything apparel-wise, above the waist, beanies, hats, shirts, hoodies, long sleeves. Once it's gone, it's gone. Kind of like Supreme. I don't make things twice. And everything, 100% of the proceeds get donated back to my foundation, which gets donated to helping keep kids, teens, and young adults stay inside the gym and off the streets and giving them a different opportunity in life. Whether they want to be fighters or not, again, martial arts taught me a lot of morality and responsibility in life. I'm trying to do the same.
So what gym does it go to?
So it goes to every gym. So whatever, I go to places, I don't sponsor kids or teens or young adults because they need money. I sponsor people who've given back, so I pay it forward to them.
If somebody purchases your apparel, you distribute the proceeds.
So my foundation saves all the money, and then from there, whenever I feel it fit to donate, I donate. And then most of my money, it's usually most of my money anyway. So like I sell things at discounted prices. So like at Black Friday, I sold everything at 50% off. So you're literally giving me money to either make more gear, because it's 50% off. Is usually I sell things for double of what I made it for. So it's not much expensive, or not much more expensive, or priced up to make money for the foundation. But I either make money with that gear, or I end up just giving that money to whatever gym. I pay a monthly fee. I will sponsor a kid to go to a tournament, pay for the hotel. I will buy my high school's whole warm-up outfit. I'll buy my college's whole whatever, So it's just one of those things where I'm trying to just, all that money is given back. Like my Triton College is kind of like Bad News Bears. We didn't have a warm-up. We didn't have a uniform until later on in our season. And none of the kids or myself couldn't afford it. So I think 5 of us, myself and a couple other guys, were able to just finally save money and bought it. And then we go to tournaments, but only 5 of us have the gear, but the other 20 don't. So I'm like, I know a lot of you guys are going to quit. Still, at least this is something memory-wise, because once it's gone, again, it's gone. Like you're never going to get the opportunity again. So that's why I always tell people, like, if you played sports in high school, try it in college, try it in junior college. It doesn't matter. Like, try, because again, once it's gone, it's gone. My dad played baseball when he was younger, and then by the time he got older, it was just softball. And then ended up getting very, very ill and just didn't have the energy to play softball anymore. But again, once it's gone, it's gone. So you enjoy it while you can.
Awesome, man. Could you tell our audience how to follow you?
So Instagram, Jose Shorty Torres, Twitter, Shorty Torres 125, Facebook, Shorty Torres 125, or excuse me, Shorty Torres MMA, Facebook, Shorty Torres MMA, Twitter, Shorty Torres MMA, Instagram, Jose Shorty Torres, TeamShorty.com, and then my YouTube series, Inside Team Shorty, was on Rockfin, and some of it's still on Rockfin, ROKFIN, but I'm going to move everything over back to YouTube and have some fun with that. But Inside Team Shorty is my mental series. I have 2 seasons, 20 episodes up. I'm going to upload 5 more episodes, hopefully this week, and it's good stuff because I talk about self-sabotage. I talk about the nervousness in a fight, how to be a great professional fighter early in your career, how to just certain things through my experiences and what I've seen in the sport, whether it be through TJ Dillashaw, through other opponents that I've trained with, and then just, again, different experiences and how to handle and move forward with it.
Awesome, man. And again, you're fighting for Brave.
Yeah, so Brave CF, Brave Combat Federation, and we'll see what my next fight is. Maybe March, maybe April. It just depends on when they can fit me in and when it's all comfortable. But until then, I'm just excited to see where the world takes me. I'm spending time with my mother, my family, and hanging out with them, and then from there, just see where the world takes me. But I feel like you had another question.
Yeah, I did. Did you say it was $2,000 that you were donated?
Uh-huh.
I know that you said that Manny Pacquiao inspires you to give back, but you said if it wasn't for Manny Pacquiao, you might have not have had the idea or thought to give back. You don't think the $2,000 had played a role in that?
No, it definitely did, but it was the fact of I didn't know I could have the opportunity to do that. Like, now I'm financially stable enough to where I can give my money away and be like, cool, I still have enough money to live comfortably, or at least still live,
right,
type of thing. But then when I saw Manny Pacquiao, given the pay range is completely different, he's making millions,
right,
while I'm making thousands. He's making millions of dollars, so he's able to give back and do all these things. But he's giving so much money away, and he's using so much of his leverage to get so much money donated to his foundation to where he's able to help back.
Mm-hmm.
For me, once I saw that, I'm like, man, I could be able to do the same thing. Yeah, I'm giving money back, whether it's through time or actual physical, a few dollars, here's $100 here and there. But then as I started to make a little more money, cool, here's $1,000 here, here's $3,000 here, here's $4,000 here, where honestly, all the money I donated, I could have easily paid off for a brand new car. So it's like I've given a lot of money back, but it's just one of those things that, again, I'm gonna die broke. I don't care. But now I know I can have money, and through my foundation, I used to sell all my shirts through like my victory parties or my celebration parties, which I call them now, and because it's not about winning anymore. I'm celebrating. I'm still alive after a fight. Because you never take it now. But it's one of those things that I would sell all the money or sell all the shirts, and then all the money would just go back to me, and then half of it I'd use to make more shirts. And I'm like, damn, I could actually do a little more with this because I started to give away a lot of free things. So I'm like, worst comes to worst, I'm spending $3,000 on gear, but then I'm making possibly $6,000, if not a little more, in return. Why don't I just give that money back? Keep $3,000 to make more gear, and keep using that to make more revenue to give to everyone else. So all my foundation gives all that money back. I make literally zero money. I actually lose money on making my gear, selling my gear, and doing all that.
Yeah. The reason why I ask is because not a lot of people do what you do, and I'm just trying to figure out why you're doing it. And I feel that you're doing it also too because of your upbringing, and you probably understand how it is for some of the people that had to go through with what you're going through, like sponsoring people that don't have headgear, and you're a champion, and you had that $2,000 handed to you to pursue your dreams, and I think that you feel that you know how that feeling is, and you don't want that to slip up out here.
The hardest part about that, and it does relate. The hardest part about that was I had a handful of people, if not a few more, maybe a dozen people donate to me. It ended up being $2,000, if not $2,000, however many people. It was a good number of people who donated to me. The only problem is for me is I'm donating all that money back, and if not more, which is good. And there's nothing wrong with it. The only problem is, from what I see, is I'm doing it alone. Like one of my first years, I made a decent, paycheck. I only ended up making what a person makes at McDonald's for a year. So even though I had one fight, I'm working year-round technically. I'm working more than 8 hours a day, and I'm getting my ass kicked for it technically in all perspectives. Training is actually harder than the fight. Training is much worse than the fight. But I was making the same amount of money a person in McDonald's is making, but I have a broken bone and medical bills, whatever the case may be. But I was still donating then. Why aren't they, donating? So it's the fact that I'm trying to show people that I'm not saying you have to give your life savings away, but if you can help someone, you pay it forward. There's that one movie, I think it's called Pay It Forward. You never know what that domino effect can cause. Where you start kind of, people remember those little things that, you do. It's like, all right, cool, we'll do this for a change. It's like every time you see a bum in the street, it's not like you give them $1 every single time. But wouldn't you feel kind of awesome if you're able to do that? That's what I'm able to do right now. Whether it's good or bad, the only problem is for me, I pick certain people that I give to, and it's not political. It's not, cool, you are famous, I'm going to give you money, or you are a crap ton of money, and I'm going to get a bunch of, popularity because of it. No. You've been doing it. Like, there's a kid in ATT, his name's Sebastian. He is a amateur fighter. Now, he had one one amateur fight in MMA. And he's sparring with, J-Check, myself, Pedro Munoz, high-level people, former champions, current champs, and going to be champs. And this kid doesn't even have a full MMA record. He has one fight, amateur fight, and he's sparring with pros. And I'm like, dude, have you ever done a kickboxing tournament? He goes, no, I've never done anything. I was like, would you do it? He goes, yeah, but it's far, it's money, this, that. I was like, I'm going to teach you for free for however long I can see you whenever you have time. And then, we built a relationship. I was like, hey, here's some free gear. Like, you're part of Team Shorty. And I was like, what's that mean? And I was like, well, actually, there's a tournament my team is going to that I'm going to be at. Let me pay for you to go. And so I paid for a suite, which was only a few $100.
That's awesome.
Some gear. We split the hotel, stuff like that. And then after, I told all the guys, I was like, if you win the tournament, I'll give you an incentive. If you win the tournament, we're in Orlando. If you win the tournament, I'll pay for Universal. 2 of them won the tournament. So I was like, fuck. Damn it, guys. I was hoping you lose. And then I ended up taking Universal. We had a great time. So it's one of those things where, or even some of the guys where it's a little different. I was like, hey, they're like, oh man, Universal's $120. I was like, I'll pay for it. yeah, you'll have to pay me back because you lost. That was the deal. But I'm not a loan shark. Like, pay me when you can. I'll remind you, but you pay me when you can. And they end up all paying me back. And it's crazy because some of those guys owe gym fees, but they pay me back first. Why? It's the respect factor.
Yeah.
You know, dude, you did this for me, and I had an amazing time because of it. One of the guys didn't go because he didn't have the money. I was like, dude, I'll pay for it. And he's like, I don't want to go. It's too much. I don't want to owe somebody. But I'm like, okay, cool, that's fine, whatever. Don't go. He regretted it after because he's like, damn, you guys look like you had a really fun time. Like, yeah, you have to go to every opportunity you can. If somebody can help you do that, like myself or other people, take advantage of it. So that's what I'm doing with my foundation, is giving people different opportunities, whether it's a fun moment, whether it's trying to inspire them to do more, or it's to inspire them to give back and help others as well.
Yeah.
Dude, that's awesome, man. I could relate. I do not on your type of level or whatever, but I try to do giveaways as well too, and I had to fight like that shit too, where everyone's like, oh yeah, he's just doing the giveaways and shit for social media and stuff like that or whatever. But I didn't grow up like your upbringing as bad as you, but I had some struggles and shit too like that, so I kind of understand. So. It's just I wanted to pick your brain. I just wanted to see how you like, and feel like the same. You're in the same spot, and it's just yeah, dude. I think it's awesome, and I don't think I could wear a shit ton of Team Shorty shirts, dude. But I'm definitely gonna buy myself one that I could rock to wear, and I definitely want to. I want to help you out as well, and. Not that you need help or anything like that, but you are helping other people, and I want to do that as well too. So I want to do like a maybe like a collabo or something like that. So I'll do like a nice little purchase, or whatever. Maybe we could give them away or something like that, because there is people out there that I think that have potential, and they just need that little extra step. Not even money wise and shit, but like. The people they're surrounding themselves around, and so
the inspiration, right?
The inspiration, and like you say, with like the mentality and stuff, like you need to, just you need to sit down and be around, your family and stuff like that. You're across country, and it's just those your boys and stuff. Like the military, guy was telling you, keep your head in the game and stuff like that or whatever. It's important who you surround yourself around, and I think it's what you're doing is awesome, and I just want to support it, dude.
Well, thank you, I appreciate it. We'll definitely talk more after this. But one thing I do want to point out, and I said this at the high school yesterday, because I immediately, like before I even said anything, I go, hey guys, I just want to let you know this is not a contest. I don't want to come out here saying my story and be like, my story is worse than yours, so you gotta feel bad for me or this or that. Because they're easily way worse stories than me.
Oh, yeah,
for sure. And then two is, even though you might have not went through what I went through, you face your own demons your own way. And sadly, your way might not be as positive. So mentally, whatever you're going through could be just as worse as mine, if not worse.
Yeah.
So we all have our own, in a sense, demons to face and obstacles to overcome. But that's something that's funny, because I have friends, mainly in MMA, because we all have shit lives, that we're always like, oh, well, I went through this, and then you got one guy's like, but I did this.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, cool. I was just kind of venting, man.
Yeah.
I kind of go from there. But it's just one of those things that I appreciate that, man. Thank you.
You're welcome.
If when one person struggles, you understand a certain type of struggle. It might not be the same, but you're like, man, you're going through something. I feel that, so I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Did you're shorty, but you have a bunch of shorties that are supporting you and are looking up to you.
I appreciate that, man. It's for once, some people are actually kind of looking up to me. I usually end up looking up to everybody else, but it's just one of those things, man, that if I can help, I can help. If I can, I can, and I know a lot more people help me as well. So
yeah,
in a sense, I'm just paying it forward.
Awesome,
That's all I'm doing.
Cool. Again, Shorty, we appreciate your time, bro. Super motivational. We look forward to your fights. We look forward to seeing you succeed. Again, the people's champ for a good reason, because you're not just doing it for yourself, you're doing it for your family and others around you. We appreciate your time, champ, and we look forward to seeing much more success from you.
No problem, man. Can't wait till next time.
All right, guys, this has been the Ralphie and Ryan Show with Shorty Torres. Have a great week.